Eagles. Eagles.
And welcome in, everybody, to a Tuesday edition of Birds 365 here on JAKIB Sports. I'm your host, Zander Krause. That's my co-host, Johnny Mac, John McMullen, coming to you live, fresh off a third straight loss for the Philadelphia Eagles, maybe the ugliest one at that of the year in their 5 total. And there's been some ugly ones. 5 turnovers, and the Birds fall 22-19 in overtime to the Los Angeles Chargers. They fall to 8-5 on the year. Losers of 3 straight games. Johnny Mac, a lot to talk about today, my man. How you doing this Tuesday morning, brother?
You brought the energy there. I'm glad, because I'm going to be leaning on you for that. So, you're the young one. I gotta rely on the young pup to, boy, these night games, and then 10 minutes, almost 10 minutes, almost the full overtime. And then to have it end the way it ended, on first down, I might add, when probably should have handed the ball off. Definitely shouldn't have done what he did, but you do have to give credit to Cam Hart, because that was a hell of a play by the guy on the other side. So, I mean, that factors into it as well. But I can't say after sleeping on it, because I don't think you have enough time after these night games. But I do, after taking a step back, after the cooling off period, as they call it, which we don't necessarily get on the post game show. Boy, that's a bad loss from the perspective of that Chargers team was so one-dimensional because of all the issues going on, not only with Justin Herbert, but the offensive line. I mean, you take out the one fluke play early in the game to Badal, which was a 60-yard gain. They threw the football for 80 yards with Justin Herbert. I mean, they couldn't do anything.
Yeah, it was bad.
And at the end of the game, it was all Justin Herbert running the football. The Eagles got a little bit surprised. And but that's understandable, the Eagles defense. But, they're not the reason they lost. To put it mildly. Worst game, certainly, since he's turned the corner and become a star. Jalen Hurts' career. A.J. Brown admitted, three passes he should have caught that would have changed the game dramatically.
Well, I'm happy he said it, because they were pretty brutal. We're rewatching them, especially the short arm one with the interception. That was a big change in the game right there.
Yeah. And, you got to pick up your quarterback there. Yeah, it's a little bit high. Yeah, it is a hospital ball, so to speak. And there's the potential. But, I mean, it's not the first receiver it's happened to. And if you want to be mentioned in the same breath as Jamar Chase, et cetera, you got to catch that football. So a lot of things, but for all, gather around the campfire. For all those people that say I never blame the coaches, I'm going to blame the coach, especially the big one, and that's not Kevin Patullo, that's Nick Sirianni.
Yeah.
So, boy, 2 things here that bother me beyond belief. This bullshit that they don't listen to outside noise, which is obviously a blatant lie. You see that on Hard Knocks already. But that's neither here nor there. I know it's difficult to keep that stuff out, and 99% of it that they talk about and complain to others comes from their own flagship radio station from their perspective. But the problem is, you saw the reporting, and I confirmed it, and Jeff confirmed it, and Tim McManus deserves credit. Nick Sirianni took on a bigger role with the offense this week. Any I'm not going to say change, but he acquiesced to that outside noise. And they're throwing the football all over the lot. There's more motion, there's more spread. They're throwing it in the middle of the field against the number 2 passing defense in the NFL. So when I said, my immediate reaction was be careful what you wish for, to all these people that wanted to see it. Well, you just saw it.
Well, and remember, Saquon Barkley averaged 6.6 yards a carry in that game on 20 carries.
And I'm not a run-pass ratio guy because that's generally circumstance in the game. But they came into that game saying, all right, we're going to prove we can do this to some nebulous bullshit artist, whoever base name you want to put on it. Does that sound like good coaching? Play your boring, predictable.
Yeah, but there was cracks in that. Like, don't you think it's if they were 8-2 still and they did this, then I think there's a little bit more merit. I'm not saying what you're saying is completely wrong. I'm just saying at this point,
there is cracks in that if you're talking about winning the Super Bowl. There's no cracks in that if you talk about beating the Los Angeles Chargers on December 8th. Because
maybe they view it as they want to win the Super Bowl. And like they heard John McMullen yesterday, and the NFC East is over. Let's try and get this thing going a little bit before the playoffs. I don't know. I'm just trying to play the contrarian a little bit, but.
Well, that from their own standpoint, from every coach I've ever talked to, it's about winning this week. You don't think about the Super Bowl. You don't think ahead. You think about winning this week. So how do you beat the Los Angeles Chargers? A boring, conservative bullshit approach that everybody hates would have won that game by 2 scores. Easily, maybe more. But no, they had to prove something to somebody. I don't even know who it is. We got to do this. We got to do that. Because what? Because Dan Orlovsky said something this week. He'll say something else next week.
Zander Krause. Shit, put me in there. I've been calling for it. Look at how it planned to play it out. Look at how it's played out the last couple of weeks.
If you want to put yourself in there, put yourself in there. You're going to say something else 2 weeks down the line. You know, that's why I say, no offense, I'm not picking on you. I said, Dan,
don't listen to the outside.
The inconsistency of people like that, you know, Acho's another one, high profile. One week it's the greatest thing ever. The next week it's the worst thing ever. How is that possible? It's you know, and their constant echo of, we don't listen to outside news. That's all they listen to. And they're out there running spread with this quarterback, throwing the football over the middle of the field. Boy, man. Hey, Nick Sirianni, you know, get the hell out of that offensive meeting room if that's going to be your approach to things. And let Kevin Patullo have the controls and be as boring as he wants to be, because you're going to win more football games that way. Might be uglier, not going to get style points, not going to get in the college football playoff, but you're going to win more, and you certainly would have won last night.
Yeah. All right, John, let's get into some of these specific players. Obviously, Jalen is the one that we're going to get to. We're going to get to Jalen Hurts. We get it. He had an awful game. All right. It was one of the worst games I've ever seen Jalen Hurts play. He had 5 turnovers. He had 4 picks, including the game-sealing interception in overtime on first down. I really don't know what his decision-making was there. We'll get to Jalen. I got to talk to you about A.J. Brown. You mentioned the 3 catches he said he should have brought in, and I respect him saying it, but at the end of the day, you know, it's lip service. I mean, you do what you do all year because you believe there's a problem. I think he's been proven right that the problem that he brought up was correct. So not including the messenger, the message was correct. Okay, I'm willing to say that. But, I mean, he really did not help his quarterback out. He had some good plays in the game. He had 6 for 100. You know, those 3 drops were brutal, John. You know, that first one looked like lack of effort. The second one, to me, was a business decision. You said it, hospital ball type play, but 2 hands in the football, you got to bring it in. And then the one in the overtime, in the end of regulation. It's a tough catch, but, you know, you wanted Jalen to trust you in high leverage situations. Jalen throws what I thought was the best ball of the night right into your arms, into the end zone, and you don't bring it in. AJ, you know, you're going to talk the talk. You got to walk the walk. I thought that was pretty bad from A.J. Brown.
Yeah, I agree. To tell you the truth, I didn't think the first one was as bad as he seems to think it was. So I kind of focus on the other 2. But but certainly the one, I don't even think that was a difficult, not for a high level receiver to pass in the end zone. I mean, that's something mediocre receivers might come down with. That ball was perfectly placed. It was his best throw of the night, as far as I'm concerned. Got to catch it. And the other one in the middle of the field, a little bit tougher. That's why, you don't like throwing the ball over the middle of the field if you don't have the quarterback doing it, because that's the kind of bad stuff that can happen. A little bit off and tip ball, bang, it's going the other way. So, I mean, he's lobbied essentially for more you trust in those types of situations. Well, he didn't earn it last night.
No, he didn't. Now it does feel like this. I'm not a fan of the narrative of like AJ gets his yards and they lose because they're 0-3 since he's had 3 straight 100-yard games. I don't really think, to me, that's not the reason. I will say it seems like the only time they've been able to move the ball consistently in the last 3 weeks is when they throw to AJ Brown. I mean, he's gotten like all their points. I mean, they didn't have any offensive points really last night outside that Saquon Barkley big run, but it does feel like he's the best way to move the ball right now. But I was upset with those 3 plays, and I think AJ Brown's got to be better there. I think he will be, but we will see. John, Jalen Hurts, man, 21 of 40, 240, 4 interceptions, 1 sack in that first drive of the game. He had 4 carries for 8 yards. He also had a fumble and included a little bit of history with a 2 turnover in 1 play that happened in the game by Jalen Hurts. Evaluate Jalen Hurts for me after that night.
Terrible. Didn't see the field. Guys open all over the place. Never finds his checkdowns. Terrible decision at the end of the game. You get that big break and you're like, oh, they're going to win the game. It's 4th and 4. You're playing to stay alive. And I forget who jumped off sides for the Chargers, but Jordan Mailata does a good job doing the yoga booga booga, as Stoutland tells him to do. And you get that free 5 yards, free first down, plenty of time. The clock's not an issue. You get a touchdown, you win the game. It's first down, and they run this little high-low concept off an RPO, which, by the way, if you look at it, Baldy put it up. Probably should have just handed it off to Saquon Barkley. You get minimum 5 yards, and that's if he doesn't make the guy miss. So he made a poor decision by not handing it to Saquon Barkley. Then he pulls it and goes to the high-low, and he takes the shot to Jahan Dotson. And it's not Dotson's fault. He was open. But, Cam Hart, you give the opportunity. He was the low concept man. I think it was Dallas Goedert. And he just peeled off because he saw the quarterback staring down the receiver.
That's a hat tip. That was a hell of a play by him.
It was. Yeah. It was.
I'm not saying Jalen, it was a bad decision by Hurts, but sometimes you do. I got to tip my. I mean, that was a really good.
Well, that's the thing. Like, and Matthew Stafford's going to manipulate that corner with his eyes. Somebody like that. I'm just picking somebody out of a hat.
Yeah, right. I know what you're saying.
So yeah, it was a hell of a play by Cam Hart. I said that.
I didn't rewatch too much. Do you think Jalen was locked on it? Is that what you're kind of saying?
Yeah. Yes. And no need in that situation. Again, 1st and 10. You don't have to push it. Now it was open to his perspective, but again, the right play would have been to hand it off to Saquon, number 1, because that's your first decision. And again, people can go to Baldy's X account. He's got the play up, and you see a lot of space there for Saquon. Minimum, and that's if somebody does everything perfectly, he's going to get 5 yards on first down. And if he breaks 1 tackle, who knows? He might go. So that's the first poor decision. Then when you pull it to keep it, high low, focused too much on Dotson and enabled Cam Hart to sink and make that play. Just, perfect end to a terrible night. He was making wrong decisions all night. And part of that, I go back to Nick Sirianni. And, the other Kevin Patullo deserves blame as well. Asking him to do things he's not comfortable with to prove something to somebody else. I'm not saying that's bad. I'm saying that's my speculation because they don't play that way. And all of a sudden they show up after all this mini bye. Oh, Nick's more involved in the offense, and they're a bunch of 11 personnel, more motion. Let's throw it over the middle of the field more. You do the math. Why? Against this team.
I agree with you. It's gotten to the coaches' career. Do you think it's gotten to the quarterback a little bit, John? I mean, obviously yesterday was an exception with how many turnovers he had, and that's not the rule with him. I mean, he's typically he avoids turnovers. Looked to me like he was seeing ghosts almost. Forcing the ball. I mean, even that one interception. I know the defensive line dropped, but there was 3 other guys there, dude. There's 2 other guys there. There's 3 guys on A.J. Brown on that slant. I mean, I don't know. I'm wondering if Jalen is feeling pressure, a little bit or whatever the case might be, or however you would word it. And it's forcing him to make errors and decisions that he's really not made a lot the last 2 years.
Well, I mean, that's part of the luxury of having A.J. Brown. He's going to draw a lot of attention, especially in those types of moments. So, I mean, you should go to somebody else. So that part of it's not a poor decision, but again, you break it down. First of all, just run it. But in situations where that kind of happens, look, he's not comfortable processing. So, he rarely. We've been talking about this for years. He rarely dumps it off. You heard Aikman talk about it tons of times. Just go into the play knowing who your outlet is, and if nothing's there, just dump it off. Positive play.
I know Jalen doesn't like that stuff, but I honestly hope somebody gives Jalen a tape of that game, of that broadcast, because Troy was giving him free game in there. Troy was like, dude, get through your reads, dump the ball down. Don't be afraid to dump the ball down. Yeah. Take what's given to you. It'll help you as a quarterback. I mean,
it keeps you ahead of the sticks.
Yeah, he must have said that 8 times on the broadcast yesterday. Troy.
Yeah. Positive play. They just don't do that. It's never been part of what they do. It's when everybody was so excited about getting Saquon in the passing game, and I said, it's not going to be that big of a deal. It's not going to be that relevant. And number one was, yes, he's not the most natural pass catcher, but beyond that, they don't dump the ball off. And yeah, I mean, it would be nice if he had progressed to that point where he goes into it. But understand, Troy is a different style of quarterback. So again, you're trying to pigeonhole him into the traditional mode of a quarterback. Like Troy Aikman needed an outlet receiver. He also had a great one. But he wasn't going to extend plays and run the football and do those things. So it's a give and take. But they should be able to do that more. And you should certainly have that in your mind as a quarterback, no matter if you have the mobility of Lamar Jackson on down. You should have that. You should always have that. All right, worst case scenario, my back is going to be here. My tight end's going to be here. And if I have to go to that, you go to that. And I just don't get that feeling with Jalen Hurts.
No, I don't either. And I don't know if it's I don't know if it's just that, the pressure gets to him after. I mean, look, it's tough to speak on it because, I get it. He's under a lot of pressure with the defensive line closing on him and stuff. But I don't know what the case is for that. But I hear you. John, let's go to some positive here on the opening segment. I understand there's a lot of negative from the game yesterday. They lose their third straight loss, 5 turnovers, probably Hurts his worst game, maybe of his career as an Eagles starter. Let's go to the positive on the defense, John. They had 7 sacks in the game, 2.5 sacks from Jalen Hurts, 1.5 sacks from Jordan Davis, who was a beast in the football game. The defensive line literally destroyed that offensive line in there. And I thought, I mean, you pointed out in your open, outside of that 50 or 60-yard play that Vidal had early in the game on the Chargers' first drive, 60-yarder, they could not move the ball to save their life in that football game. Defense certainly did their job, in my opinion, John. What'd you make of the defense and just that overall performance?
Yeah, I thought it was great, especially from the defensive front without Jalen Carter. Everybody was a little panic stricken. And I thought, first of all, the guys who needed to step up, Jordan Davis, most notably, but also Moro Jomo inside and Byron Young inside, they did. So that's number one. Byron Young had 1.5 sacks. And then I thought it was, and Vic tends to do this, does some stuff you don't think he's going to do. And from, I think, the second play of the game, he had Jalen Hurts inside. And I'm like, oh, all right, here we go. And then it was Jalen Phillips for most of the time, who has some experience doing that. It did it quite a bit in Miami this year, being an interior rusher on obvious passing situations. So he's comfortable with it. Excuse me. And he did that. And Brandon Graham played a ton inside when he was out there as well.
How many snaps did BG play? You have the snap in front of you?
Yeah, I do. But he played. I'll see when they don't have the breakdown, but I wouldn't be surprised if he played more inside than outside. But let me get the number exactly. Brandon played 30 snaps, so obviously a career, not a season high for him by far. 74 total defensive snaps, overtime. So another high snap game, but that was mainly because of overtime more than just playing poorly like they did against Chicago. So I thought that was, finally you said, Brandon hadn't been playing to the point when he said, why bring him out of retirement? This was the first time that he showed like he still looked like Brandon Graham a little bit. So maybe that continues. Maybe that's a positive. They could probably let Jalen Carter rest a little bit more, get better, because I think the rest is going to be more important than the PRP treatments. And yeah, mostly pot. And then also give credit to the secondary. Like I said, I thought Cooper DeJean and Ladd McConkey would be great. If there's one thing Cooper DeJean has struggled with occasionally in his young career, it's great route runners. We always go back to that Thielen game against Carolina. He didn't let Ladd McConkey have an inch of space.
Ladd McConkey had no chance on him. I mean,
it was really, really spectacular. Quinyon, they didn't even look at for the most part. He did get the one DPI, which I thought was a little ticky.
That one rep, John, downfield where Cooper came back to look back for the ball when they broke down a little bit and Herbert snuck out to the left and tried to get him downfield. That was just he makes really hard plays look really easy, doesn't he? I mean, he's just right in position, looks around, finds the ball, boop, smacks it right out of the air. I mean,
he's a great,
good player,
great football player. Yeah. And then I think Adoree Jackson had his best game to the point where even Darius Slay's watching the game, wherever he was watching the game, and said, Adoree's playing pretty well. Maybe you shouldn't be. He didn't say maybe you shouldn't be trying to get me, but Adoree Jackson's playing pretty well. And I thought Marcus Epps
me too.
Settled things down. And again, the Chargers were very limited, and it mainly had to do with the defensive front. Rush and cover and rush. I would say this week rush was more important than cover, but both sides performed very well. it's something I should have mentioned last night. Special teams, Britton Covey gave him some juice in the return game, both
Yeah, man.
aspects.
I don't know why. I can't for the life of me figure out why Britton Covey just. I mean, they've
Yeah,
been
why did it take so
yeah.
long?
Well, I
That's
mean,
the
they've been
point.
rotating through these returners all year. Every one of them sucks. They had the evidence that Britton Covey was good when he did it, and then he comes back and he's good again. It's like I don't know why we were trying to find someone else. Covey was fine.
Yeah, sometimes this organization outthinks themselves.
Yeah, well, what's the purpose there, though? I guess they're trying to find somebody with like a little bit more explosive ability to if they can get it.
Well, he did. He
I
was
don't know.
coming out. He was coming off a pretty serious injury that was nerve related.
That's
So
true.
you want to see that he could. At one point last season he could not grip the football. That's why he wasn't playing. So obviously, if you can't grip the football, you're going to fumble. So I understand, but they had him on the practice squad. They could see he was healthy. It took way too long. John Dotson was doing it at the start of the season, the punt returns, and he was pretty much just spare catching things. Didn't have a ton of experience and was fine. And then they got Xavier Gipson off waivers, and he's got a little bit more juice. So you always have that explosion. So you always have that thought in your mind. But his history with the Jets was at some point the fumble's coming, and at some point the fumble came. And you got this super reliable. Now he did put one on the ground, so you have to put that. Everybody can put one on the ground,
that
but they
ball
got it
bounced.
back.
He's lucky. Yeah, he's lucky the way that ball bounced.
They got it back. But he also helped on kickoff returns as well. They had been near the bottom of the league in kickoff returns, and he gave them a little bit more there as well. It took him way too long to pull that lever, but small thing, but if you're looking for positive, you got to throw Britain in there as well.
Fair enough, John. What's your macro view of this team? And I will say I don't want to speak for. I've been impressed and surprised with your ability to kind of still think that this team has a good opportunity. I'm not saying you're way wrong or way off on it. I don't know. They're 4-0 in September. If you kind of look at September as that preseason, I get it. You can't do that because they do count, but they're 4-5 since then. The offense has never looked good. The defense, for as good as they played in moments, I mean, it feels like they could break at any given moment because they're just getting no help from the offense. I mean, I'll remind you the 2 wins they had before the 3-game losing streak. The offense combined for 26 points across 2 games. I get it. The weather was a factor. What's your macro view of this team right now for the 25 season? I'm not even talking about last year or future. I'm talking about 2025. What's kind of your macro view of this team as they sit at 8-5 right now?
Well, circumstance means they have time to figure it out because they play in a bad division this year. They're going to win the division. Their schedule has 3 patsies on it the rest of the way in 4 games. So they have some time to figure it out. Now, to your point, I don't root for the laundry, so I'm not, number one, I'm not getting emotional about it. But number 2 is, they're going to win the division. They're going to be in the playoffs, and there's no team that you sit out there and say, well, they can't beat that team. But, if they were in the NFC West, there'd be a greater sense of urgency, and they were 8-5. Yeah, then there'd be like, oh boy, this is going to be tough. But they're not. They're in the NFC East, and they're going to win the division and make the playoffs. So obviously they have to fix some things. We've been saying that all season. Now I think they got to fix an extra thing by trying to fix the original thing that they needed to fix they probably should have waited till the off season to fix, if that makes sense. Again, Nick can say whatever he wants. He's obviously not going to admit it. They went away from how they play. For what reason? If somebody else has a different reason, please give it to me. To me, it's to acquiesce outside voices and prove they could do something. That's not the goal. It's never been the goal. Nick Sirianni says it. Jalen Hurts says it all the time. The goal is to win. I don't care what it looks like, win. That's an easy win if they play their normal, stilted, bullshit style of offense that everybody hates.
The
That
thing
is
that
an
bothers
easy
me
win.
about that comment is, they like 24 formula was run the ball and play great defense. I mean, you look at the game last night. They ran the ball 6 yards a carry for Saquon on 20 carries. He had the big home run as well to boot, which is what they relied on last year. I know it changes the numbers, but at the end of the day, they rely on those the explosive plays. In the run game. You have that last night. You have great defense last night, and you still lose the game. Now, obviously, the turnovers are the difference, but it's just annoying to see it, because it's like if they had another performance for Saquon as 10 for 20, it's like, all right, yeah, I get it. Hurts is trying to push the ball down the field. Like they were running the ball well last night. I mean, even early, it felt like Saquon was finding holes. He had a 19-yarder early, he had a 13-yarder early. He was running the ball. And I feel like you're right where the Eagles, if they just stuck to their guns a little bit there, or, they would have won the game. But I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think there's any question they would have won the game if they played their normal style and didn't. Hey, it's the mini guy. We got to do something different. We gotta make Dan Orlovsky happy. We got to make Acho happy. We got to make, and by no means am I saying that's Nick Sirianni's mindset, but it's more of a human nature thing. And I can't come up with another. Why do you shift against the number 2 passing defense in the NFL? Why do you shift?
That makes sense. John, how much say in that does Jalen have? I mean, because we've heard a lot about Jalen has more autonomy at the line of scrimmage. It's going to look how Jalen Hurts wants it to look. I mean, all these different things. The offense is built around Jalen Hurts. I mean, does Jalen Hurts bear any of that, or is that exclusively coaches to you?
No, he bears some responsibility to that, no doubt. He doesn't have to put the ball in harm's way, but some of it, as I said, was, like the hand interception. I mean, you've seen it on the other end with Jalen Hunt dropping, and that's a simulated pressure that the quarterback just doesn't see and throws it right to the guy. And then I think Will Shipley forces the fumble and he gets it back and he fumbles it. That was a Keystone Cops type of play. But so each individual interception is its own. The A.J. Brown interception, I put more on A.J. Not the best throw, not all on A.J., but I got to go 60-40 A.J. on that one.
I agree. I think even more, to be honest with you.
But yeah, it's got to be a better throw. I mean,
it does, but it's the NFL, man. Like, you know what I mean? Like, not every throw is going to be perfect to you, right?
Well, I agree. That's why you go 60-40. That's why you go 60-40.
That's fair. That's fine.
But the interception in overtime, that's a brutal decision.
Yeah, it is.
That's a brutal decision. Reminiscent of, pushing it with AJ in Seattle, or the Jets interception, the collapse year, where, games, all you got to do is finish. And he pushed it and took a chance he didn't need to take a chance with, and it ended the way it ended. So plenty to blame on Jalen Hurts, but you play a certain style of football and you start getting crap over it and you change. That's what happened to me.
But you do agree that the style of football they were playing was showing some signs of, not working like it did obviously in the past. And maybe that could also have factored into why they changed. I agree with you. They're listening to some outside noise, but maybe they believe the outside. It's one thing to listen to it.
Oh, the offense stinks.
It's another thing to listen to it and say, yeah, they're right. We are not looking good right now. We got to try and move the ball in a different way. Right. I mean, I think there's context there.
Yeah, I've been very upfront that the offense stinks, but the passing offense has always stunk, at least from a consistency standpoint. The difference is the rushing offense, and you actually showed some signs of life in the rushing offense. And yeah, I don't I don't know how many times I can say it, but I'll say it again. This should not this is not a high volume passing team, and it should not be a high volume passing team, and they shouldn't try to go that route. You saw them try to go that route. Now, this was an abject disaster. I'm not saying it's going to be like this every week, but this is not the route for this quarterback.
It's clearly becoming the deficiency of the team, right? I mean, when the defense plays well, the running game, they've had a good running game. Yeah, I mean, every year you look at even the total duration of time here. I mean, the one area where they're less than average is the passing offense, and I don't know if that's catching up to them now or however you look at that, but
well, it's definitely catching up to them because they haven't run the ball effectively, but that's the reason. And that's why until yesterday, that's been the entire focus of trying to fix this offense, get the running game going. People say, well, the only difference between last year and this year is Kevin Patullo, and he's to blame. Well, the only difference between Black Friday and this week was Nick Sirianni getting involved. So using that same logic, get the hell out of the kitchen, Nick Sirianni, if you're going to force these issues.
Well, I don't think it's crazy considering the personnel on the team. I know you've been saying you think they're maybe lost a step. You do have personnel. The one thing I do really disagree with you on is that the team is built for Jalen. It is because Jalen's here, but the team is not explicitly built for Jalen Hurts. I mean, I think any quarterback in the league would honestly dream of playing behind that offensive line with that running back with those wide receivers. That's my personal opinion.
The offense is built for Jalen Hurts, is what I should have
said.
The
schematics of it.
Yes, yes. Obviously, they would play differently, and they have played differently in the small window. And if people got to see Tanner McKee, they would play differently. And that's been Nick Sirianni's strength, to his credit, which I always go back to Indianapolis. They changed offenses 3 times in 3 years because they had to. That's one of the reasons he got this job, because of what he was able to do there. So when I say team, I mean offense. The offensive scheme is built for Jalen Hurts.
That makes sense.
And they play the way they play because of the quarterback.
What's the macro view in 25 on Hurts right now? I mean, does it feel like he's taken a step back? Does it feel like he's regressed? Does it feel like he stopped improving? Like, where are you? I don't want to muddy it. I guess I already did, but where are you on Jalen macro 2025 right now?
I thought early in the season he was very efficient, playing at a higher level than he played last season. Really till about this stretch, and now, and I think a lot of it, from my perspective, is tied to them listening to people they shouldn't be listening to.
Well, to your point, real quick, sorry to cut you off, but I mean, just to add to what you said, Hurts numbers in the first 8 games, John, 151 to 215, that's 70%, 1677 yards, 15 touchdowns, 1 pick, and a 114 rating. Now in the last 5 games, 96 of 167, a 57% completion percentage, 1,000 yards, 4 touchdowns, 5 picks, and a 72 rating.
So I thought he was playing at a higher level, really the highest level he had been since 2022, early in this season, and then it shifted. Now, I didn't see a dramatic. It's not all shifting and trying to prove doubters wrong, because I don't think that was largely the case. So he was playing more poorly in the intended scheme over the large portion of that span. Yesterday was the first time I thought, boy, they're trying to prove something to people. They're playing college football. And by that, I mean they're trying to impress committee members that don't exist.
Right.
And I thought, that is not the style of football they should be playing. And if you want to change, which I get that, but that's the offseason talk that Dan and I were talking about. That's for the offseason. This is this team. This is, you got to run this thing. And the positivity here is that nobody looks so good that you say, oh, they can't beat that team if they don't play well on a particular game day. Now, same thing. You can say any of those teams, the Rams, the Packers, the Lions, if they get in, the Bears, the Seahawks, all those teams could easily beat the Eagles as well. So they're just one of the crowd now, as opposed to being what they were last season. And they're going to have to do that 4 consecutive times to have those big games. And there's no evidence of this team having that type of consistency to do that. So by no means am I saying, oh, this team's going to figure it out and win the Super Bowl. Right now, they don't look like that team. But there is no daunting Mike Tyson in his prime style heavyweight where you go, oh, the Rams, we can't beat the Rams. They already beat the Rams. Fluky, but they won. Seahawks, Sam Darnold in a big spot. People are going to bring that up. Really? Is that daunting? Packers, you've seen Jordan Love. He might spray it around like a garden hose and throw 3 picks in a playoff game. Bears, come on. Yeah, they beat the crap out of you. But, I mean, the quarterback play was so inefficient that you had a chance to win that game, even though you gave up 281 yards.
Right.
There's nobody out there where you say, oh, they couldn't beat that team. So that's what you call positivity. I don't even call it positivity. I just think, they're like everybody else. They're going to be in the playoffs. They're going to be one of the 7 teams. And if they do get hot at the right time, they can beat any of those particular teams on a particular game day. Can they do it 4 weeks in a row? Probably not, because they have shown no consistency from week to week.
No, very little consistency. Good stuff there. Appreciate everybody being here this morning. Don't forget to hit that like button here on Birds 365. Eagles lose their 3rd straight game, 22-19 in overtime. And kind of a nail-biter finish, but it felt like the Eagles finally were driving the ball well in that overtime. I don't know what everybody else was thinking. I can't speak for all of you, but I know I was thinking the Eagles were about to walk into the end zone and sneak out of there with 4 turnovers. They end up getting their 5th turnover on a bad decision from Jalen Hurts, and the Chargers walk out of there with a win. They moved to 9-4, and the Eagles dropped to 8-5 on the year. Hit that like button for us, everybody. Let's get to some super chats here, John. And then after the super chats, I want to give you 5 plays in the game that I thought were the 5 biggest game-changing plays in yesterday's game. So we'll do those coming up here in a little bit. Let's see what the great people of JAKIB Nation have to say. Here's JD3, first super chat of the day. He sent this right before our show started. JD, appreciate it, brother. J-Mac, Z, and Jeff. How about shout out Jeff Kerr getting a shout out this morning? Forget about what us fans think. Do you think that Jeffrey Lurie and Howie are content with Jalen Hurts being the quarterback of the future?
Yeah, that's a large discussion they have to have. And I imagine their confidence in that is wavering, which, if you would have told me that before the season, I would have kind of chuckled at it. But yeah, I mean, that's how quickly the NFL moves. I say it all the time. We won the Super Bowl in February, and now people want him benched. Small group, but vocal group want him benched. It's a tough industry, as everyone says. The NFL will humble you, and they are humbling. The league is humbling the Eagles and Jalen Hurts right now. It's difficult to sustain that high level. That's why I always talk about guys like Peyton Manning and Tom Brady, and those are the truly high level quarterbacks, and Aaron Rodgers in his prime, who can do it year after year with all these adjustments and everybody trying to stop them. But those guys are few and far between. And you've already seen it with some of the great quarterbacks now, down years, up years. It's very, very hard to be consistent in this league because everybody's, all right, you're doing this well, we're going to take this away from you. Now you got to do this well. And very few quarterbacks can do that consistently from week to week, year after year.
JD, appreciate the super chat, brother. I think it's a good question by you, and I am wondering the same thing on what they're thinking. Real Zeal, what's up, Real Zeal? Appreciate the super chat, brother. The Eagles' loyalty to Jake Elliott cost them a football game last night. Is Justin Tucker eligible to be signed? I don't know. I think he got signed, or he was in with a workout recently for someone, but
he was in for a workout with the Saints, and Kellen Moore stepped in it. So no, the Eagles aren't going to sign him. With all the issues he went through, but yeah, I mean, you can't miss that kick. And you think about it. I mean, it's an overtime game, and that's a pristine environment. You can't miss that kick. Can't do it. And he's missed quite a few kicks recently. Now, it's a lot easier to chalk him up to, all right, that's the way it goes when it's 40-mile-an-hour winds. But when you're at SoFi in this beautiful weather and you're missing kicks, Cam Dicker didn't miss any kicks. That's for damn sure.
Cam Dicker, that dude is a beast, man.
Yeah.
I mean, it's automatic. Comes off his foot every time. I'm like, yep, that's going through the uprights.
Yeah. And that 54-yarder, I mean, that was just money. And that's been a lot of kickers, and Brandon Aubrey we talk about a lot. And yeah, Jake Elliott has not been the he's been an advantage for a long time for the Eagles, and now with some of these new kickers and the way they're performing, it's becoming a deficiency. But again, that points to the lesser profile, but people think you're the same year after year. And well, Jake Elliott's one of the best kickers in the NFL.
Yeah, right.
Well, he was. He no longer is.
I think he's missed 5 in the last 7 games. I think that's what I saw. Yeah.
Now you can get much worse. There's, but from the truly top tier guys, and you saw one of them last night, he ain't that guy.
Yeah.
He's not Brandon Aubrey.
Here's Q the guy. What's up, Q? This team hears all the noise. That play call to end the game while you already have the tying points when the run game is working. Coaching sucks, man. Well, the only thing I don't like about that, John, is people are like they're in field goal. I get it. It does change how aggressive you are, but they're playing to win the game there. They're not playing to settle for 3.
Here, cue the God, and you don't have to pay for it. So if you're around, just answer the question. But what do you think is the play call on that play? Because there's multiple options for the quarterback built into the play call. So what do you object to?
You pointed that out. Saquon had space as Baldy broke it down.
Yeah. It was a zone read play where you read Khalil Mack. And then he had a high-low read. And he could have went the easy route, which is the low. And he pushed it down the field. He's got 3 different options there. So which play call exactly do you have an issue with? Because if he gives it to Saquon Barkley, he's got 5-6 yards minimum. If he takes the low to Dallas Goedert, I believe it was Dallas Goedert. I have to look at it again. He's got 5-6 yard gain, and he took the shot. And the defender made a great play. That ain't on the coaching staff, my friend.
In fact, I think that's the perfect play call there. Give the quarterback 3 different options. Let Saquon take it, run the ball yourself, get the ball to the flat. 4 options, really.
Well, this is why one of my pet peeves of this result is play call. That play was not designed to go to Jahan Dotson. That was an option, but you had to get past the first 2 to get to that one. And the first 2 would have worked. And that would have worked if he manipulated his eyes a little bit better. Like I said, Matthew Stafford makes that throw in his sleep because he's looking off the cornerback. And it's, might not be a touchdown, but you probably have the ball at the 2-yard line or something like that. But
let's keep rattling through. We got Jeff Kerr coming up in a little bit. We're going to talk to Jeff this morning on a post-game edition of Birds 365. Got to get through these supers. And Martine, what's up, brother? Based on Cilio's question post-game, comparing the 23 collapse to the 25 team, which is worse, the 23 Eagle defense or the 25 Eagle offense?
Oh, by far the 23 Eagles defense. The Eagles defense at the end of that season was arguably the worst in football. You can make a strong argument. The offense, as I pointed out, they came into this game, I think, 24th. There's much worse offenses in this league that you guys just don't want them. I mean, there's some just abject disasters of offense.
It does feel like when the Eagles go through their bad stretches, though, it's as bad as any. I mean,
statistics would not bear that out, but
the 3-and-out statistics would.
Well, yeah, but I mean, you're taking one category, but they make up for it by the fact the efficiency when they don't go 3-and-out. Whereas, Cleveland, Minnesota, Tennessee, they've been pretty disastrous. I mean, there's some really bad offenses. I mean, has anybody watched?
What's their EPA per play this year? Where do they rank in those stats?
They're down at the bottom. They're bottom 5. I haven't checked it after this game, but they're bottom. But they're bad. But there's much worse. Again, watch JJ McCarthy. Watch Dylan Gabriel. There's much worse offenses.
Here's Go Birds. What's up, Go? Oh, shoot, my bad. Go Birds. What's up, brother? Seeing how bad Hurts has been over the last 3 games, do you think Nick should bench Hurts for a game? Andy did it with McNabb back in 08. I do remember that. Brought that up last night.
2008 ain't 2025. He did do it once, and they recovered. And boy, the game has changed. I'll tell you what. If Jalen Hurts gets benched, Nick Sirianni ain't benching him. Jeffrey Lurie's benching him.
Yeah, that would come from upstairs, right?
Yeah. Business of football is way different. Because I've heard a lot of people bring up in 2008. You might as well be bringing up 1933.
It has changed that much from an exponential change standpoint, how much it's changed in the last 15 years compared to what it did in the first, 50. Here's Impulsive. What's up, brother? Uh-oh. They put a rabbit in the locker room. Season is over. Oh, man, John. Not a fan of the positivity bunny is Impulsive CCC.
Boy, people are overrating the positivity bunny. As I tried to point out, A.J. Dillon was just trying to make people smile, and it worked. It wasn't an organizational decision. Yeah. It wasn't a Nick Sirianni motivational decision.
Jeffrey Lurie made a call from the box, John. He said, whoever's still at home at the NovaCare complex, walk into the locker room, pop the bunny with a knife, roll it up, and stuff it into A.J. Dillon's locker. And when he gets back, tell him, don't ever bring it in the locker room again.
And no, I don't think they're upset at A.J. either. It wasn't a big deal. It wasn't an organizational thing. It wasn't Nick Sirianni trying to motivate people. A.J. Dillon said, I want to make some people smile today. God forbid. God forbid.
John's a positivity bunny lover. We might have to put a positivity bunny on the screen here on Birds 365. Riot, what's up, Riot? This is Josh. He says, thanks for the $20 super chat, brother. Appreciate your support. Nobody cares about winning the NFC East. This team has too much talent on it to not be able to score more than 18 points. We are wasting the most talented Eagles team in the last 10 years because of an incompetent quarterback and head coach.
Well, guess what? I'm glad he put the quarterback in there, because if you have an incompetent quarterback, you don't have the most talented team in the past 10 years, because that's how impactful that position is.
Yeah, but the roster is good around it. I get what you're saying from an impact standpoint.
Yeah, Minnesota has a good roster. Who gives a shit?
Well, I think
If you don't have, I'm using the extreme.
Yeah.
If you don't have good quarterback play, you're not the most talented team. And right now they don't have good quarterback play. Now, by no means am I saying Jalen Hurts has sunk to that level, but the way he's playing right now, I've been saying that. I've been on this for 2 months now. This fan base overrates the talent on this team. Again, look at the Chargers. Look at their defense. Look at the players they have. Look at Justin Herbert, even playing under the circumstance that he did. Even without their tackles, everybody's got players in this league. And some of them are better than the players that you think are the best players in the NFL.
Yeah, maybe AJ falling quick in the wide receiver ranking, especially after a couple drops last night. Joshua, what's up, Joshua? I missed that boring offense. It was ugly, but it won. Yeah, but that thing was skating on thin ice. That thing was not the boring offense of 25.
Bring it back.
It was not the boring offense.
Bring it back.
Though. It was not. It was not the boring offense of 24.
Bring it back. Bring back the boring. That's
the margin for error on that offense earlier in the year, though, was way smaller than it was in 24.
Off-season problem. Got to get through this season.
Yeah.
How do you get through this season the best way possible? Bring it
back.
back.
Boring. I'm all right. Here's Frankie Ray. Two more, and then we get to Jeff Kerr. Frankie, what's up, brother? F that bunny. Uh-oh, John. The bunny's taking more shots.
Well, that's a new one. Like, I always make fun of fans, for putting everything on the coaching staff, because again, those guys aren't out there. You're going to a new level to blame it on the bunny.
It's not the bunny.
But by all means, if it makes you feel better, by all means, blame it on an inanimate object rather than, hey, this team might not be as good as I thought it was, which is probably the real answer.
Last one here. Rich, what's up, Rich? Member for 16 months. Thank you, brother. It's a long time. Hurts, 25 ordinary at best, 24 great, 23 terrible collapse, 22 best year, 21 not great. Enough of a sample to reevaluate. This is what he is, uneven.
Yeah, 24 wasn't great. That 21 was actually pretty good for a young first-time starter. 22 was, by far his best year. 23 was actually better than 24 from an individual standpoint. The defense was just an abject disaster. 24 was not great, but the quarterback was acceptable, not great. 25, I would argue 24, 25, ordinary at best, both of them. But again, the mask of winning the Super Bowl. Oh, he's great. No, he wasn't. They had seven disastrous passing games last year, including 2 in the playoffs that nobody remembers because they won the games.
Whew, man, this Eagles team, man, they're giving me a damn headache. Holy mackerel. All right, everybody. Appreciate everybody for being here. Great super chats today on the show. Hit the like button. Birds lose their 3rd straight game. They fall to 8-5. I don't think anybody can use anymore if there's any criticism of the team. Well, they're 8-2. Oh, well, they're 8-3. Oh, well, they're 8-4. Now they're 8-5. All right. So 3 straight losses for the team. Let's bring up Jeff Kerr now, who joins us here on Birds 365. Jeff joins the show now. Jeff, what's going on, man? How you doing on this Monday morning or Tuesday morning, excuse me, after a Monday Night Football brutal loss for the Philadelphia Eagles?
Bordertown won Monday Night Basketball, so I could care less with that football team.
I saw that, man. Congrats to Bordertown. But
Thank you.
Jeff, talk to me, man. What happened in that game? What obviously the 5 turnovers happened.
I was going to say that's what happened.
Just give me your first thought. Tuesday morning, the day after the game, on what you watched last night.
I mean, let's just call a spade a spade. The quarterback sucks. Period. He sucked. It's reality. I mean, he had 2 turnovers in 1 play last night. Ironically, so I gotta tell you guys a story. I told you guys I was probably gonna miss much of the first half. When I turned the game on, is when that play happened. I'm like, wow, this is going well. So
Not good.
yeah. So, but look, Jalen was not crisp at all night. I thought his throws were high. I thought they were late. I thought his timing was off. I think it was affecting the rim of the offense. I don't understand why this offense has to be in shotgun as much as it does, but it was. I just thought the passing game was embarrassingly brutal all night. And look, the proof's in the pudding. I mean, 4 interceptions, 5 turnovers, a lot of drops, a lot of poor pass protect. And I thought the offensive line played better last night, by the way. But overall, just a discombobulated mess for a discombobulated team.
When I say bring back the boring, you agree with that or not? Because Nick Sirianni got involved. They're spreading the field, more 11 personnel. There's more motion. They're throwing it over the middle of the field.
Or bubble screens, John.
It was an abject disaster. By the way, with A.J. Brown, the 3 drops, he also missed a bunch of blocks as well.
Yeah, he did not have a good game.
Not the best game for A.J. Brown, but for this team at this moment, what is the best case scenario? Listening to outside voices and trying to prove something to them, or just going back to boring football? Because if they played their boring style of football yesterday, Jeff Kerr, they win that game easily.
Exactly.
Easily.
Win football games. Stop worrying about what John McMullen, Zander Krause, Jeff Kerr, whoever. Stop worrying about what we think. Go back to winning football game. I agree with you, John. They go back to that boring style, they win easily. And we're talking something completely different today. Probably talking 9-4.
Probably saying, "Oh, that was boring," but you know, they won the game.
That's why I get kind of sick of it. Like, do people just not like winning? No, you have to win with style points. Well, guess what?
I asked John this, and I'll ask you it too. I do agree that I don't want them to listen to the outside noise as much as I sometimes do want them to listen to me. I do agree it's better for them to tune out.
I don't want to listen to me at all.
But would it be fair to say maybe they believed it? You know, it's one thing to listen to it and try and shut people up. It's another thing to hear it and say, I think these people are right, man. We're not going to win this way. Because we all can agree. It wasn't, they were winning early, but it wasn't winning like they were a year ago with the run game and the defense. Defense was good, but not great. Running game was pretty non-existent. Much smaller margin this year, in my opinion, as compared to last year. Do you think the switch was maybe more because Nick stopped believing that was going to be the best method moving forward?
You could be on to something there. I think it's not Nick. Sometimes I think it's the players. Like, you're hearing all this stuff and you're creating the quote unquote drama that was not needed. And I just think this is what I'm trying to figure out today. If we want to go the Nick Sirianni route, why can't this team ever correct their issues when things go south? Why does one game have to be 2 and 2 have to be 3? Why can't it just be 1? You play bad, you win 1. You play bad, you lose 1. Why does it have to be a total collapse all the time? Is this locker room that fragile that they can't handle a couple losses? Their highs are really high and their lows are really low.
Yeah, well, I mean, the expectations are pretty high here, so I think it does impact them. You know,
I'll
Nick,
tell you the expectation. This is the sad truth. They're not as talented as everybody claims they are.
oh God, yeah. I mean, I've been saying that for 2 months, but you can't convince. I mean, they think they're one of the best teams ever, and the only thing stopping them from being one of the best teams ever is Kevin Patullo or Nick Sirianni.
No, I don't think that. I think it's congested. The offense is congested.
Well, it's very congested.
Here's a reality kill for people. Landon Dickerson has not been good this year.
Neither has Cam Jurgens.
Cam Jurgens has not been good this year. Jordan Mailata has openly admitted he's not been good this year. Lane Johnson is not here. Oh, by the way, you lost another game. Lane Johnson didn't play. Do you want me to point that out, or is that an irrelevant static? 13-26 without Lane Johnson, by the way. He's a Hall of Famer. You miss Mekhi Becton. You do. I know Mekhi Becton's not playing well over there, but you miss him. This offensive line has not been good. And look, it's fair to criticize. It's fair to criticize the players. It's fair to criticize Jeff Stoutland right now. It's fair to criticize anybody. And that's what's bothering me about this. Everybody wants to pin it on the quarterback. Look at the guys up front. Look at the receiver that demanded the ball, quote unquote, demand the ball. Well, guess what, AJ? You got your 300-yard receiving games. You're getting your 10-plus targets. Your team's 0-3.
We'll get to AJ Brown in a second. I do think there's some problems there. He, had a couple issues with some of how he handled the game yesterday. Jeff, what's your more macro, not macro, multiple year, macro 2025 view of Jalen Hurts? You started off the segment, the quarterback was bad. I think you could say the same about the last few weeks with Jalen Hurts. Probably the worst stretch of Jalen Hurts' maybe career in Philly these last couple of weeks. I don't know if you want to go that far, but close to it. And yesterday was certainly probably his worst game that I've seen. How do you view just where Jalen Hurts is right now after what you've seen the last couple of few games?
Yes, Andrew. So I have some numbers for you. I'm putting them up right now. This is, by the way, if you want to say this is the worst stretch of Jalen Hurts' career here, you're absolutely right, because he's been horrible since the bye week. So these are the exact numbers. I'm not saying he should be benched because that's asinine. You just don't do that. But, and if you think that, you don't know shit about sports, period. Okay, so completion rate, 57.5%, 24th in the league. Yards per text, 6.4, 22nd. Pass touchdowns, 4, 22nd. Interceptions, 5, tied for 4th. Giveaways, 8, first. Passer rating, 72.4, 29th. That is not good. He is not playing well.
That's since the bye week.
Yeah, so that's 5 games. He is not playing well, and this offense is suffering for it. The strength of this team is Jalen Hurts not turning the football over, being risk averse. Well, Jalen Hurts has been a problem. They
turned it over 9 times in these 3 games. They turn it over the first how many games is that? What 13. So
I did
first 10 games.
Yeah, he has 7 giveaways his last 2 games. He had 7 giveaways in his previous 26 before that. And, by the way, the Eagles won a lot of football games during that stretch.
It reminds me of the first 4 games last year where they had 7 turnovers in 4 games.
I would argue it's worse.
I agree. It looks worse for sure.
You would think people would learn from that. Yeah. But I don't expect fans to learn from that. That's fine. But Nick Sirianni? You don't learn from that?
Yeah, he threw 40 times last night. I don't think he's won a game he's thrown over 40 times. There's nothing wrong with that either. Like, why do you have to be Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, Justin Herbert, Lamar? Oh, by the way, Lamar's having a terrible year too, in case you think Jalen Hurts is the worst quarterback. I don't think people are asking Lamar to be benched for Tyler Huntley in Baltimore.
Well, I don't thought. Yeah,
there's probably somebody, but
I don't.
I'm sure there's somebody, but
I just don't think people view Jalen in that light. I don't.
No, they don't, and they shouldn't.
Wrong, but that's why I think that happened. I mean,
he never should have been.
I got a message last night though. Matthew Stafford had 3 turnovers the other game. You don't see anybody talking about benching him. I'm like, dude, with all due respect, Jalen Hurts isn't viewed like Matthew Stafford is.
Yeah, and that is absolutely correct.
Yeah, I mean,
and look, I almost flipped out last night. I went to bed because I mentioned the game where Tom Brady has done this multiple times, thrown 4 interceptions, had 5 turnovers in the game. When he had 1 Super Bowl, when he had 2, when he had 3, and someone goes, well, it's easy to say when he had 3 Super Bowls at the time. Jalen Hurts only has 1. I'm like, oh, so we're playing that game now. We're really moving the goalpost. I forgot winning a Super Bowl is bad. I'm sure Buffalo would kill for one of them.
Well, there's a lot of context to it, but I hear you. Jeff,
he wants to go MVP, right? Like, as much as I say,
I mean, whatever. Jeff, let's go to AJ Brown, man. I've been pretty vocally team AJ this year because I think the message he was given earlier in the year was correct. Now, whether you believe that's come true or not is a different conversation, but I do want to talk about his game last night. I mean, Jeff, you're going to when you bring more eyeballs on you by the way you speak after games, and then your quarterback trusts you in clutch moments, over the middle of the field, ball comes out of your hands, interception, end of the game, trying to get you involved, puts probably the best throw of Jalen's night in the end of regulation, right in the breadbasket in the end zone. AJ Brown doesn't bring it in. First play of the game goes deep. AJ should have caught that ball. I mean, come on, AJ. I don't want to see business decisions after you bring everybody, to think the offense is this big problem. And believe me, I've been team AJ. You got to make those plays.
Yeah.
What do you make of AJ Brown?
I agree with you, Zander. I don't think he's wrong. I just don't think it should have been out what he was saying. And I agree with you. If you're going to talk the talk, you got to walk the walk, especially when you're as good as AJ Brown is.
Yeah,
and again,
right.
I've said this before. Players are allowed to have bad games, but they're definitely magnified when you're focusing on, oh, I want to help the team. I'm trying to get this thing right. Okay, you're saying that, and I agree with you. Catch the football. Stop putting your quarterback in the bad position. Your quarterback had a chance to go back to he's the winner narrative, and everybody's not talking about we're talking about it today, but if the Eagles win the game, it's a little different story, right? But Jalen put a ball right in the breadbasket for him at the end of regulation. It ended up being overtime, and you lost the game.
That was a really good throw.
It was a really good throw.
Yeah,
I thought his first ball of the night when I rewatched first half, I'm like, it's not a bad ball.
I was all ready to go on the post-game show twice and talk my Jalen Hurts spiel about how he plays poorly and then makes a couple plays at the end of the game to win you the football game. I was all set to go on that, and AJ let him down. Now he let himself down in overtime, but AJ let him down. I mean, that was his best throw.
And
he had
AJ
a big
up to it too.
He had a big time throw to Devontae on 3rd and 16. That was a great throw. That was
a great
honestly,
throw.
I thought the game was over with that holding penalty. And
yeah, me too.
16, and I'm like, oh, okay, well, they're going to lose, and we're going to talk about how bad Jalen was and how bad this offense is. He makes that throw, and you're like, okay, well, game over.
And I thought the game was over for the Chargers when I think it was your Penn State guy jumped offside, right?
Yeah, Dofo. Oh, yeah, that was bad. Also, on that
was bad offside. I was like, all right, Chargers lost, but he made a really poor decision. And that was a zone read where Saquon had plenty of space. They was almost like Chicago, Fred Johnson and Tyler Steen washed down the line. Plenty of space, and
it's
he held
so
it.
Funny too, the narrative that comes when you win and lose a football game. Like, I thought Justin Herbert played like dog shit last night. I know he's been hurt, but they're treating him like he's a wounded warrior.
Well, he was a wounded warrior.
Yeah,
that's right. Rightfully so. But I mean, that's the point. They turned the football over 5 times and they should have won. How often does that happen?
Yeah, I think that's what's the amazing part about this. And I think if you're in that locker room, you got to say to yourself, we almost won a football game and our quarterback played like crap. And all of a sudden, like we're going to pound it to the Raiders on Sunday.
Yeah, the Chargers, by the way.
I'm not sold on that, by the way. I'm not sold on that yet.
Raiders are a bad.
I'm going to tell you this last week, and
the Raiders are bad.
They're coached by Pete Carroll. They hung with the Broncos last week, and this team, as far as I'm concerned, they could lose to anybody.
They were in that game against the Broncos?
They weren't in that game.
They were?
No. They had that bull. What the hell was Pete Carroll doing? Kicking a field goal to ruin everybody's betting experience.
Yeah, that was weird.
I mean, it was 24-14. Yeah, I mean, Denver and they kicked the field goal at the gun to screw everybody.
I was gonna say, didn't they cover?
Yeah, they covered. And that's why everybody was upset, because generally you don't do that. So maybe Pete had some extra cash on the game. But generally you don't do that. But they weren't really in that game.
All right, I'll explain this. And John, I don't say this to try and go at you, but we thought they were going to beat who'd they lose to 3 weeks ago? Then we thought they were going to beat the Bears. Then we thought they were going to beat the Chargers. We've said this for 3 weeks, and they lost 3 straight.
Well, I was going back and forth. I did end up toggling back to the Eagles. And that was mainly because I thought Justin Herbert was not going to be healthy, and he wasn't. And to Jeff's point, he actually did play like shit, but he is a warrior.
Yeah.
That team's going nowhere because their offensive line is a freaking disaster area, even if they make the playoffs.
By the way, Justin Herbert, I think, made more headlines for kind of ignoring Laura Rutledge last night than anything else.
Did he? I didn't.
Oh, so like after the game, Laura's trying to do what the sideline reporter does, right? You're kind of obligated to talk to.
Yeah.
And he's just pretty much, I want to go celebrate my teammate. I don't think he has. I don't want to speak for him. I don't think those two have a great relationship. So,
I think
anybody else
maybe like they just won in dramatic fashion.
And he also just got the shit kicked out of him all
he
night.
did. Yeah. He really did. That's where I give him credit.
Listen, I'm not saying they're going to lose to the Raiders, but I'm saying I'm not ready to say it's an easy win. It's the NFL, right? It's not
can we talk about one positive here? How about Jalen Hurts last night?
Oh, yeah. I brought up Jalen. Yeah. Jalen right now is better than Nolan Smith.
Oh, yeah, he is.
Right now he is.
What did the defense end up with? 7 sacks?
7.
Yeah, 7 sacks.
Yeah, I mean that defense.
They should have had a bunch more.
Maybe that's why I just can't do the 2023 stuff, because that defense was so bad in 23. You would never had a chance. This defense, they're in every game because of this defense.
Yeah, I mean they played poorly for a couple weeks, but everybody plays poorly in Dallas because that offense is so good defensively, but
they responded well last night.
Yeah, they did. And Vic did some nice things with the interior rush to make up for Jalen Carter. He kicked Phillips inside, Brandon. Alex even rushed inside a couple times. An obvious passing situation. But also realized the Chargers were very limited. I feel like we get into this back and forth like, well, they gave up 281 rushing yards against the Bears, so they'll never be able to stop the run again. And they were lights out against the Chargers team with no offensive line and a quarterback with a broken hand who's getting the crap kicked out of him. Like, that's not going to translate when you're playing a good team offensively. Just like you're not going to give up 281 rushing yards every week. So, but they're a good defense. They're not a great defense like they were last year, but they're a good defense.
They're good enough. And to me, I thought we'd all take that at the beginning of the year with all the guys they lost. And look, I got to give my flowers to Jordan Davis, Jalen Hurts. I think Byron Young had he had 2 sacks or like 1.5.
1.5, I think he got.
Yeah, I think that's what he ended up with. Like, look, like this defensive line has been a lot better than I expected this year. And I think maybe Jalen Phillips has helped with that, but guys are developing, and that's what you want. That's why, like, for me, it's so hard to compare this to 23. It's completely different. People, I hate to do the whole lazy narrative thing, but it kind of is a lazy narrative. You're looking at wins and losses and not the total picture.
Jeff, any concern for you on the fact that Justin Herbert's playing with a broken hand, and he's putting his body on the line. He's running through players. He's running hard and aggressive. And
he's a good runner, by the way.
I know he's a good runner. So is Jalen Hurts. So is Jalen Hurts.
Yeah.
And I think last night you saw a clear contrast in desire to run the football or put your body on the line to go and get yards when you need to get yards. I mean, that was how the Chargers offense moved the ball. Outside of their 60-yard play to Vidal in the beginning of the game.
Yeah.
They didn't move the ball for shit.
Yeah.
Justin Herbert's legs.
That's what bothers me about this reluctance to run. Like, and Donovan McNabb was guilty of this too, but I don't want to be a running quarterback. Well, guess what, dude? That's what got you second in the MVP voting in 2000. And the only reason you didn't win MVP was because Marshall Faulk had an unbelievable year. Do what gets you to where you are. I don't understand this. I don't know what Jalen really wants to do. I would love to get in his mind, like, if he does want to run the ball, the Eagles don't want him to run the ball as much, but his best year, 2022, was when he ran the football efficiently. Last year, I thought he ran the football efficiently, and they did not lose games.
Every time he runs, guys, I mean, we all see it. He sits on his butt. I mean, when there's anybody near him.
The only time he really wanted to run last night, there was a holding penalty. He got that big third down, and then it was
a nice run.
Taken back. Yeah. Maybe that's why he don't run, because he thinks the offensive line's going to hold. I don't know.
Well, I think they're trying to manage him, and now that it's late in the season, it'll pick up. And you're right. Sometimes that gets lost in the sauce. The good run gets called back. But yeah, to Zander's point of when he he's all. I don't give a shit that he's an awkward slider, other than, all right, maybe again, aesthetically, slide better. I don't want him taking on tacklers in the open field. For all the talk about Justin Herbert being a warrior, and he was, and being a gutsy guy, and as big as he is, as strong as he is, if he keeps doing what he did last night, he's not going to make it to the end of the season.
Josh Allen, that was one of his biggest criticisms when he just bullied himself into people because he was a quote unquote alien. And I'm like, well, aliens get hurt too.
Yeah, they're gonna get hurt, you know. And this is the week. Zach Ertz is the one who told me, and I hope Zach's okay if he's listening. And I hope he's listening. You know, if you play this game long enough, this is Zach Ertz talking, the injury rate is 100%. And as Zach goes out with a torn ACL, unfortunately, everybody's getting hurt. And if you put yourself the way out there, the way Justin Herbert did to get a win on December 8th, well, God bless you. You are a warrior, but that's not smart. I will say that.
I guess toting the line is an important thing. I understand you got to be smart and stay in there, but I think it's been pretty clear the last couple of weeks that Jalen does not want to run the football, and when he does, he is not looking to get hit. That's fine. Jeff, I guess we really hit on all of it. The funny part, at least on offense, is Saquon ran well. I mean, 20 carry, at 6 yards a carry, at $122, I think he had on the ground.
He was great running under center, by the way.
Yeah, that's true. I saw the stat on that.
That's where I'll say the offensive line played better. They definitely blocked better for Saquon.
I didn't really see the offensive line as a big problem last night. I mean, it felt like Jalen had all day to throw on many throws. I mean,
he did.
Standing back there.
He did. Jalen was a bigger problem, but again, if we're looking at the totality, like you said, Zander, the macro of the season, the offensive line just hasn't played well.
But right now, they can't run to the right side. You can't run behind Fred Johnson and Tyler Steen. That I agree with. I mean,
you could have on the final play. They had a big hole.
Yeah, they did.
Big hole.
I'm still kind of amazed by Jalen's last pass. I'm like, man, Jalen was there.
First down, too. First down.
Yeah, first down. There's a lot of stuff I questioned last night. It's not just one thing. There's a lot.
First down. When your quarterback plays like that, it's really difficult to win.
Yeah, it is. 5
and
turns.
you still almost won.
Jeff, has your confidence in the team in terms of them being a contender this year wavered? I mean, where are you on that?
I mean, look, I still think they're in it until they're not. I don't think that. I didn't think they were winning the Super Bowl before the season started. I just thought there were too many losses, and it's quite frankly, it's hard to repeat. If you had that expectation that the Eagles were going to win the Super Bowl and have these, that's on you, and you're okay to think that way. But I'm telling you, it's very hard to win a championship. There's a reason why only 2 teams have gone back-to-back since 2000. Oh, and by the way, the quarterbacks were Tom Brady and Patrick Mahomes, the 2 best quarterbacks of this century, period. I don't care what anybody says. So, look, that's on you. If you have these unrealistic expectations, Madden expectations in your head that you're going to win the championship every year, fine.
They got the greatest talent in the history of professional football, Jeff Kerr.
What talent? To me, talent comes back on wins. So I don't know. Did I expect this? No, but if someone would have told me they were 8-5 through 13, I probably would have believed it. Just not how they got to 8-5. But overall,
I had 11 wins.
Yeah,
I
hear the Commanders are really talented too.
Yeah,
they're 3-10.
Yeah, well, everybody is. Look at the Vikings, man. You put Sam Darnold on the Vikings, I guarantee you they're 10 wins, 9 at worst.
I just don't think people are ready to face the realization that this team will. I think some are, but I think in the totality of it, if you would have told me the Eagles would lose in the wild card or the divisional round in July, I would say, yeah, that's very possible because that's what happens. But I think, I don't know. It's just expectations for this team are always way too high. And they always are after a Super Bowl year. It's just the way it is.
Yeah, that's part of it. It's
expectations might have been too high, but this is bad. I mean, this team is underperforming. Come on, this offense is awful.
Oh, you can say that about every team.
They're not even middle of the pack. Like it'd be one thing if they were average. You get the most expensive offense and they're not even average. They're below. They're below average.
They're in the 20. So I put out a fun stat last night. They're 19th in the league in points per game. You know, they've only made the playoff. They've only had a winning record once with having 19 for worst average in terms of points per game in their franchise history.
Which,
And
by
that
the
was
way, there's 32 teams in this league. That's not even that terrible. It's below average.
the problem. People watch the NFL, but they don't watch the NFL.
Yeah.
They're not seeing what I'm seeing. The crappy Raiders, the crappy Commanders. Like, the Eagles should beat these teams. They should. I'm not saying they're not going to, but they should easily beat these teams.
I don't know if they're going to beat I mean, they're certainly going to beat the Commanders once. You know, you have the division aspect of it. Maybe it'll get up to play a week. You know,
I don't think there's a shot in hell they beat the Bills, but what do I know?
Well, you know, if Josh Allen doesn't bring his Superman cape, they could win that game. But I agree with you. The Bills are probably going to win that game. The Raiders are, there's no way they're losing that game. I'll sit here. I got to sit here every day. They lose that game, I'll be ripping them to shreds. That is an awful football team. Everything about them is awful.
Who's better, the Raiders or the Giants right now?
Boy, that's like Soapy's choice.
Yeah, yeah, it is.
That's a tough one. All right,
that is. I think the Giants have more.
I will say this, and I know this game was in October on a short week. That Giants loss is still their worst loss of the season because that Giants team sucks.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sorry.
I don't know,
and that's why I think maybe the Raiders can beat the Eagles because we literally saw the Giants.
By the way, I don't know how badly Geno Smith got hurt. Kenny Pickett might be the starting quarterback on Sunday.
Yeah, I think he might be.
The Kenny Pickett revenge tour.
Kenny Pickett.
I think I'd rather have Geno start.
Jeff, I'm gonna go and say that the loss last night was worse than the Giants loss. Giants loss, I know, was ugly. I know they're a bad team, but divisional opponent, you're susceptible to that. Every team in the league is. Look at the divisional games across the league. I'm gonna go ahead and say 5 turnovers and one-handed Justin Herbert really not being able to move the ball at all. Losing that game is gonna be the loss.
And I don't think you're wrong by saying that either. By the way, it's because
they had a couple bad losses. That Cowboy loss was pretty bad too. They were up 21 in that football game. That was a bad
I
loss
maintain an out-of-conference loss can never be your worst loss in the NFL. It's like if you're going to lose a game, you don't want to lose any of them, but you want to lose out.
I'm simply talking aesthetic, but you're right from that.
But it's just weird. They took a 21-0 lead on the Cowboys, and they haven't been the same since. It's weird.
Yeah, it is. That was
it's like they weren't happy. They were up.
The Bears was a bad loss. Let's be real. 281 on the ground. Put on your head. That was a bad loss.
Yeah. That was a bad loss. They're all bad losses, but all losses are bad, especially when everybody thinks you're the best team locally, and they have those outsized expectations.
I still don't think people realize that the Eagles are going to get everybody's best game because they're the defending Super Bowl champions, just like the Chiefs get everybody's best game every single week.
So they can't handle being the hunted. They could handle being the hunted.
No, they can handle being the hunted, though, because they did win the Super Bowl 2 years after they went to the Super Bowl.
No, they weren't the hunted last year.
I think that early in the season, I think you're right. I think now at this point, I think that kind of wavers. Some teams, like you'll see it last week, you have a downtrodden team. Who knows if they even show up? They might not show up for the game, not make the flight. Yeah. I'm exaggerating, obviously.
Here's a fair question. And look, if they somehow go 4-0, do we think they're back?
No, not against this.
I don't think so either. Even if they end up 12-5.
I mean, if they have an impressive game in Buffalo and beat that team, which is not even a great team, but obviously they're good. I mean, that'll say something. But, you should beat the Raiders and the Commanders.
Yeah, I'm not putting too much stock into these Raiders and Commanders games. No, I will if they lose.
You guys don't, but
I will if they lose. But I'm not putting any stock in them if they win.
I mean, their combined opponents' win percentage the rest of the year is 327.
It's bad.
But the Cowboys are going to win the NFC East because they're trying to talk themselves into. Well, I got some news for you.
I don't know if you heard, Jeff, but I called the race. I called it earlier in the week, and I still am firmly.
I called the race in October.
Birds 365 has called the NFC.
I'm going to have to switch that to John McMullen projects.
I'm ready to just get blasted by
No.
crazy old
I've
fans.
called the race. All right, you can use me. John McMullen.
John's roping me in with the Birds 365. Now I'm good, John. That's all right. You can leave it out there.
Birds 365.
All right, Jeff. I still got a lot of chats I got to get through with John. I got a couple other
If you're
topics.
scared by a dog,
thought.
Xander. Howard, get Howard on.
I'm not scared.
Yeah, where's
by
Howard
a
at?
dog.
Jeff, give me your final thought on the Eagles' third straight loss, my friend. A 5-turnover performance from QB1 and the historic. He did make history. 2 turnovers in 1 play.
Yeah.
How about that?
The Eagles are the first team
What's
in
that?
NFL history to lose a game where they turned the ball over twice in 1 play. And I would have said that they won too.
By the way,
you
Jeff,
go.
I have to ask you because you're the requisite stat guy. There's a site out there called QB Gami, and they say
I've
it's
seen
the
that.
first time it ever happened. Is that true? I
It
gotta
is.
believe it's happened. It's never
That
happened.
was the first time it's ever. You know what was funny? So when this play happened, I was with 200 people, and we were actually kind of joking about that. We'd never seen it before. Well, lo and behold, it's never happened.
Wow, that's amazing. That is amazing.
That was a crazy play. I mean, I was pretty shocked when I was watching that.
This is how crazy this is. Jalen went literally 12 games last year. He didn't turn the ball over. I think he turned the ball over once, and he turned the ball over twice in like 20 seconds.
Yeah.
All right, Jeff, man, give me your final thought. Eagles lose the game. Final thought, and I got to run. All right, brother.
I mean, the Raiders suck. I'm going to go with John here. They should beat them, but I thought they should have beat them in 2009 too when they sucked and they had Jamarcus Russell and they found a way to lose. I know, way different era. That was 16 years ago. But again, should beat the Raiders, should beat the Commanders. I still don't think they're winning the Super Bowl this year. I still don't know if they're winning a playoff game this year, but I'm still ready to say the NFC East is still theirs.
Good
I
stuff.
agree.
Yeah, appreciate it, man. Appreciate you joining again on short notice on a post-game edition after a Monday night loss. Make sure everybody follows Jeff at Jeff Kerr PHL. Jeff, thank you, brother. We'll talk to you again soon. All right, man.
By the way, Xander, get ready to be the 3 seed. That's over. By the way, I'm not even talking home field advantage anymore. That's over.
No, yeah, that part of it is definitely over. By the way, you know who I felt for? The poor NFL Jesus people on that play to come up with a description of it. That's who I thought immediately.
Did you see
thought
that
of.
play broke the Monsters Inc?
I did.
Yeah,
That was awesome.
Yeah.
Like they that wasn't in the script.
Yeah. Yeah. They couldn't do it. They couldn't do it.
Sully had a great game last night. James
he
B.
did.
Sullivan.
All right, Jeff. Good stuff, man. Appreciate you.
See you guys.
Later, dude. There's Jeff Kerr joining us right here on Birds 365. Great stuff from Jeff Kerr. Appreciate him checking in on a post-game edition. John, plenty more to talk about. I got 5 plays, John, I want to run by you here. All right. And to me, they were the 5 big. I just jotted them off the top
Is the
of my
quarterback Gami one of them?
It's not. Well, I guess maybe it is. Yeah, it is one of them. 5 plays that made a difference. I just jotted these down. A.J. Brown short arming the ball that resulted in an interception is one.
Brutal by A.J.
A Jordan Mailata holding call that wiped a touchdown off the
Shouldn't
board.
have been a holding call, but I don't get. It was more of he got beat, and sometimes it looks like you're holding when you're not really holding, and that was the case on that play. But
it evens out. Remember, they missed the
Yeah.
call on the Saquon touchdown.
you can't reach. That's the teaching point there.
Right.
But if you're an offensive lineman, you don't want to get the quarterback killed. So that's really difficult in the moment to say, all right, he's going to be all right. He's going to get this ball off. You don't know that. So he reached, and when the officials see you reaching like that, sometimes they're going to throw the flag.
Third one is the Jalen Hurts 2 turnovers on the same play. All right. That was obviously there.
By the way,
next
here
one
it
is
is.
not-
You want to hear it?
Yeah.
Jalen Hurts pass short middle intended for A.J. Brown, intercepted by D Hand at LAC 17, D Hand to LAC 24 for 7 yards, fumbles. Will Shipley forced it, recovered by Jalen Hurts at the LA 32. Jalen Hurts to LA 33 for -1 yards, fumbles. Caldwell gets credit for the forced fumble, touched at LA 33, recovered by LA Troy Dye at LA 43. Yeah, that's your play description on the quarterback Gami. There it is.
Whew. All right, next one's not really a play, but a drive. The opening drive for the Chargers of the third quarter, where they controlled the clock, and I think it was a 9-minute
Yeah, that was a good drive.
drive.
That was a they couldn't get off the field. So
Yeah.
for all the talk about the Eagles defense, and look, it was good. I don't want. This is not the time to pick on the defense, but again, they gave up 169 yards on the ground. Now, a lot of that was Justin Herbert.
Yeah, I think 66 for Herbert? 60 something?
66. But Hampton was over 4 yards per carry. Now, Vidal was not great from a yards per carry perspective. He got loose for the big catch.
Did Hampton surprise you? Because you had mentioned you thought maybe Russ would be at play there. I thought he looked pretty good.
A little bit. He looked decent.
Yeah.
But overall, and again, most of it was quarterback driven, but they weren't great against the run again. It's fair to point that out.
Yes, agreed. And then the last one, John, on my 5 are A.J. Brown dropping the end zone.
A lot of AJ. A lot of AJ.
2 AJs on my list of 5.
And like I said, there was a couple screen to Devontae Smith, just missed the block. Not his best game. Interested to see what the grades look like when they come out. I don't think they're going to be great, but and they are out. Let me check it out. Actually, it was pretty good for AJ, which I disagree with.
Well, the moments that he did were good.
Yeah, that's true.
Were bad. The highs were high and the lows were low. That's how I saw it. I mean, AJ did make some plays yesterday.
Yeah, no, he did. But boy, I put more emphasis. Like, that's one where I don't agree with PFF is I think they don't put enough emphasis on splash plays, both good and bad. Like, because they have more impact on the game. Like, they're more about, I say it all the time, they're more about consistency from play to play. And that's why some guys will get better grades than you think they should, and some guys will get worse grades because they don't weight, in my opinion, they don't weight the difference-making plays enough. And there were a lot of negative difference-making plays for AJ, way more than usual, I think. But
John, I'm going to bring this up to you here. Real quick, what'd you think of my 5 plays? What'd you think of those 5 run down? Good? Any bad? Maybe
the AJs. Well, I would obviously bring up the final play. I mean, that's the ultimate play. That should be on there. But that's poor decision making on a couple. That's, you talk about the quarterback Gami, the 2 turnovers on one play. That's 2 bad decisions on one play from Jalen Hurts in losing the football game. 2 bad decisions. Should have handed it off and made the wrong read when he won the pass on the zone read. So he had a run pass option there. He made 2 wrong decisions on the same play.
I agree. That final play should be on there too. That was a tough decision there. John, last night I asked you guys a question, and it wasn't really a view that I had, but it is permeating out there in Eagle land. And I want to bring it up to you again because it's not only fans, okay? Jeff McClain, who writes for the Inquirer, has been covering the Eagles for a long time, writes an article on the Inquirer. Eagles' Jalen Hurts hits his low point, which begs the question, should he be benched for Tanner McKay? Now, I'm not saying they should bench him for Tanner McKay. The only thing I'm trying to highlight here is that the narrative seems to be changing, even from people like Jeff McClain, who I'm sure you view as a credible reporter. He's not an aggregator. He's not a fan. He's not going to go down that road of the emotional route. What do you make of that, John? The narrative.
Yeah, I make at it. Jeff doesn't. I make at it. I make at it as, because I read Jeff's column. Read the column. Now and I don't know nowadays, but in the old days, we didn't write the headlines. I think the Inquirer doesn't write their own headlines.
I think they don't, because that happened to Sealski or Marcus Hayes sometime.
I'm pretty sure they still don't, but I don't work there. I'm pretty sure they don't. So I would say read the column. So, I mean, Yeah, if you
Well,
read the headline,
coming up for me. I'm not a payer of the Inquirer at the moment.
well, there's ways you can get around that, but I don't want to say that on there. You know, be a subscriber, whatever. Find a way to read the column. I think it's much more, you know, he's not advocating Jalen Hurts gets benched, but I think that's a headline more than the actual
That's
column.
fair.
I will
Do you
say
feel
this
as
real
though the
quick.
narrative might be changing, you know, in an important way, not just the social media way, on just maybe not benching, but the pressure on the quarterback to live up to
Well, the
expectations.
quarterback's not playing well. I mean, that's what it's saying. By the way, the Eagles had 34 hurries in that game. 34 hurries. 34. Let me emphasize that again. 34. And they lost a football game. And PFF gave them credit for 9 sacks. They're a little bit different. 34 hurries. Unbelievable. Never seen it before.
Ooh, man.
44 total pressures. 44. And they lost.
Yeah, well, the offense is bad, John. The offense is really bad, brother. Really bad.
Well, five turnovers is really bad.
Yeah, but they were bad before the 5 turnovers. Now they're bad and they had 5 turnovers.
Yeah.
It's just insurmountable here to overcome that. It's amazing they were in the game to the tune that they were in the overtime.
Yeah. It's because at one point next year I mentioned that on the postgame show. They were in the hunt for the most pressure ever put, and then you know, it's not that long, it's like a decade, but the next gen stats era, they were in the running to be the highest pressured game ever. And they didn't end up being that, but it was close. Amazing pass rushing performance, though. Now, again, they took advantage of a very weak offensive line, which is why I say the Chargers, if they do make the playoffs, they're going nowhere.
Yeah, that offensive line is bad.
Yeah.
That offensive line is worse than the one that Joe Burrow went to the Super Bowl with by a lot.
By a lot. Yeah. They're not going to the Super Bowl. Yeah, they're and that's just bad luck. I mean, because they have really good tackles, but they're not playing.
Yeah, I mean, the pressures were good, but you know, obviously the reason that they lost the game yesterday was the quarterback, which is why a lot of those conversations are going to come up. Whether you think they're real or not, or you think they're worth a conversation or not, doesn't really matter. I mean,
well, it's always going to come up when a quarterback plays poorly. I mean, that happens in every.
It's a stretch, though, right? I mean, this is a stretch. This is a stretch. This is not one game.
Yeah, he's played poorly in this 3-game losing streak as a whole. He's turned it over, as I said, 9 times in 3 games after not turning it over at all, basically. So he's playing very poorly over a stretch of games. Again, you know, part of it is business. Part of it is it's just not done with proven quarterbacks. Part of it is the last thing you want to do is create uncertainty in the locker room in times of turmoil. I mean, again, I think most people look at this like way too many people look at this like they're not human beings. And all of a sudden you bench the quarter, even if your mindset is, and people bring up the McNabb thing, even if your mindset is, well, I'm going to bench him for this game, but I'm going to bring him back. I mean, like I said, the difference between 2008 and 2020 is enormous, number one. But I mean, think about what that would do in this city if you even bench Jalen Hurts for that short period. You don't have to think that far. Look at what it did with Carson Wentz. You lost him. Now, people say, well, who cares? He never responded. He actually played pretty well. People forget in Indianapolis for that first year and kind of collapsed at the end of the season, but he never regained his status as one of the game's best quarterbacks. But that was never the plan. That's revisionist history. They wanted to run it back, but they lost him.
Well, how do you figure? Forget McKee for a second. How do you figure that style of quarterback would look with this Eagles offense? with Nick Sirianni, with Kevin Petullo, with these weapons, how do you figure that type of play would play with this offense?
Well, what I already described it, I'd say, but now they're starting to lose. I said, when they were 8-2, I got the same questions, and I would say everybody would be happier, the coaches would be happier, the fan base would be happier, the numbers would look better, and the wins would be less. That was my thought. Now they're starting to lose. So they can't lean on that crutch of success that they have for all these, which is pretty large sample size. But it's still not big enough to say, all right, we got to scrap this in week 15 and go with a guy who's got, I don't know how many passes Tanner's thrown. I mean, this absurdity of, well, he's going to be Kurt Warner. I mean, I guess anything's possible, but you really want to play that lottery?
Well, then, so do you view this as just a bad stretch for Jalen Hurts, and it will be, or do you view it as the skill set is creating bigger problems that may or may not go away because the NFL does change, the NFL does get tape on people, the NFL does adapt the way to the way they play certain players. See it all the time. Do you view it like that, or do you think it's a game for Jalen?
He's not the quarterback. He's earned the deference to be the quarterback here. He's not even he's not the quarterback of a 5-8 team. Never mind a 3-3, a 3-11 team. They're 8-5. They're in first place.
Well, how many of those deference did they win because of the offense, though?
He's earned the deference to fight his way out of a slump. Now, they've won games because of their offense, just in a different style, in ugly style, aesthetic style. But they've won games this year because of the offense. Minnesota, most notably. Very few. I'm not saying it's a lot. But I think he's earned the deference to fight his way out of a slump. But, I mean, that's just the society we're in. It's a microwave society. Everything's got to be immediate. You can't. Think about these organizations struggling through with young quarterbacks, and they don't have the patience to deal with that. This city doesn't, because of the expectations, because of what they've been through, partially because of Jalen Hurts and because of the standard of the success that they've created. All of a sudden, it's not acceptable to let this guy get out of a slump. That part I think is silly.
Well, I think there is some other factors, though, too. I agree with what you're saying in a vacuum, but I think the other thing with Jalen is Jalen's always buttered his bread on being a great dual threat quarterback. Right now he's not dual threat anymore. He's not running the ball effectively. He hasn't run the ball well. They haven't had an ability to use him in the running game. And now he's turned into more of a passer, and the running game's not working for the Eagles. And some of the deficiencies that Hurts has always had, whether people want to look at them or not, are being highlighted more. And that's where I think bigger questions are being brought up about the skill set of the player and whether it's something you can build around year in and year out, because it's hard to have a perfect team around that style. Does that make sense?
Well, yeah. Well, hey, nobody has a perfect team. But, I mean, if you're talking about the best quarterbacks in football and you had them on the bench for some reason, which why would you have them on the bench? Yes, I think they're better. I think they've always been better. Other people disagree because he won the Super Bowl. But if you're talking about, the high level guys, yeah, I mean, this offense would be better with a healthy Joe Burrow. Oh, breaking news. I mean, would they be better with Tanner McKee? I don't think so. And I think all of that is about the old adage of the most popular guy in town when you're struggling is the backup quarterback. He's thrown 45 NFL passes.
Yeah, but even in the season they won the Super Bowl, I mean, you talked about this. What was the one deficiency of the team last year? It wasn't the run game, wasn't the defense, it was the passing game.
Well, yeah, it's always been that they have to play a certain style with this quarterback. I've said it. I haven't wavered from that.
No,
I say
know
the same
that.
thing.
Well, all right. I'm just,
which is why I criticized them. I started the show criticizing them for listening to outside voices and trying to change that. Again, if you want to change that, that's fine.
It just wasn't working though, John, in the first 10 weeks. Like, I get what you're saying. Don't listen to the outside voices, but outside voices
That's
is
fine.
fine.
But that's the off-season talk. This is about in-season. Look, there's a bunch of teams in this league. Everybody's got to be honest with themselves. It's the most difficult thing. Obviously, the teams are already eliminated. The teams are going to be eliminated. They're bad teams. They're trying to evaluate players. Are we going to move forward with this guy, with this guy, with this guy? They have a different mindset. Then you have the group that's trying to make the playoffs and trying to get some valuable experience, but they're not really Super Bowl contenders. Then you have the legitimate Super Bowl contenders. Everybody's in a different life cycle. I talk about life cycles all the time with NFL rosters and NFL teams and NFL organizations. The Eagles might be receding, might not. They're on the cusp. Might be receding from legitimate Super Bowl contender to just playoff contender. And then you have to evaluate things and what do you want to go and where you want to go in a different direction. That's for the offseason, though. In season, you're trying to maximize. Nick Sirianni and the coaching staff's job, different than Howie's job, is to maximize it to go beat the Raiders on Sunday. And then after that, go beat the Commanders on Saturday, I think it is, whatever day they're playing that game. That's their goal, week to week to week to week, maximize to win that football game. I don't think they did that last night because they listened to the outside voices, in my opinion.
All right, let's get some super chats here, John. We got 5 minutes left on the show. Appreciate everybody being here. Hit that like button this morning. Eagles lose their 3rd straight game. Tough stretch here for the Philadelphia Eagles. Appreciate all of you guys being in here on Birds 365. Here we go with the supers. Let's go back to where we were. Pumper with the first one earlier in the show. Bring back the boring, ? How about bringing a real quarterback? Like, what the F are we talking about? The buddy had 5 turnovers. Is it possible Hurts is just ass? Well, we knew Pumper was going to be on this side of the aisle here, John.
Well, bring back even Pumper in his illogical thought process can understand that if they played their normal style of just risk-averse offense, they're probably winning that game pretty easily. And they didn't. And they turned it over 5 times. Do you want to win the game or do you want to lose the game?
All right. Here's Dice. What's up, Dice? Thanks for becoming a member as well, brother. I appreciate that, man. And thank you for the $10 super chat. Dice says, hope I'm pronouncing that right. 2024 Eagles were a top 5 team of all time. A lot of guys hit their ceiling. Regression now this year and a middle of the pack team. Embrace the struggle and enjoy the peaks when they happen. They don't last. Boy, that's a John McMullen comment if I've ever
heard. Yeah, it's true. Everybody's got life cycles. The 2024 team was, I'm not going to say, because first of all, completely different game. But it was one of the best 5 teams of the modern era, no question. It's one of the best teams of the modern era. Again, I'm not going to compare them to 1970s teams because it's a completely different game. And those guys, those great teams, they were together for a decade. There was no free agency. You had Hall of Famers all over the place. So there's a lot of great teams. But yeah, I mean, a bunch of guys had career years, and I don't, practically the week after they won the Super Bowl, I'm like, well, Saquon's not going to have the year he had in 2024 and 2020. It's not possible. You don't go from the best season of all time. Well, he's going to run for 2,504 yards, and he's going to amp that up to 2,700 or whatever. Doesn't work that way. Now that he's the outlier because that was literally the greatest season in NFL history for a running back. But a lot of guys had career years, and they lost a lot of guys who were good players. And they lost coaches who are revisionist good coaches. But anyway, you get the point. Tremendous change, 30% turnover every year, different team. And this team's not as good as last year's team. I mean, that's evident, I think, to everybody.
Dice, thanks for the super, brother. Appreciate it, man. Here's Dirty D. Another touchdown taken away from a Steen penalty. So I thought that was a Mailata penalty. The Steen
Yeah,
penalty.
Mailata got caught. Mailata got caught for holding.
Was the Steen penalty when it set up 3rd and 16 and Hurts convert? I thought that was the Steen penalty.
Let me double check. I
That
forget
was a
the
hell of a
3rd and
throw by
16.
Hurts.
But the Mailata, the AJ Brown touchdown, that was a Jordan Mailata hold.
Right, that's the one. That's the one that wiped out a penalty. So dirty, yeah. Maybe you meant Mailata. I don't think the Steen penalty wiped off a touchdown.
Yeah. The 3rd and 16. I'm trying to look at. That was Cam Jurgens, who got caught for holding there. Let me look up Steen to see his penalty. He got caught for holding 1st and 10. They were at the Chargers 36. Hurts did a little scramble for 3 yards, and he got caught for holding. So that set him back to 1st and 20, and they ended up settling for a Jake Elliott field goal. I believe is that I don't know if he got another penalty. No, he didn't. So that was his only penalty.
Yeah. All right, Dirty D. Thanks, brother. Here's Alexander Harris. What's up, brother? Carson signed an extension in 29 and was traded 2 years later. Howie will do the unexpected and do what he feels is best for the team. Jalen isn't it. Every time he drops back, I hold my breath, shaking my head.
Boy, I should keep score. You know, how many of you guys used to rip me for saying there's some deficiencies here?
I can tell you this: Alexander Harris wasn't one of them.
All right, fair enough. There were a lot of them that seem to be popping up. That all of a sudden, yeah, he's always had deficiencies, but I mean, and Howie will do. You know, if they they could take advantage of one of these quarterback needy teams if they want to go that direction. Because guess what? His contract, from a perspective of as teams keep elevating and guys keep getting larger contracts, it's for a proven guy, his contract's not that bad for one of these teams that are struggling mightily. You can probably get a top 10 pick for Jalen Hurts if you want to go that route and reboot this thing and go get a different style of quarterback. You
do
can
you think
easily
that's on
do
the
that.
Eagles' mind even slightly?
No.
You don't think they're not even giving that any thought?
Well, certainly not now. I mean, they'll have those discussions after the season, and Jeffrey Lurie will be involved. There's a lot that goes into it when you're moving on from a $50 million quarterback, but they'll have those discussions. But I think they've been through it enough to understand that is a shaky bridge, man, because it ain't easy to find a quarterback. You better be.
Remember, you talk about the hubris of this organization, though, man. Remember how fast they moved on.
You better be 100% certain that you think Tanner McKee is going to be a high level quarterback.
I agree. I'm just saying, don't leave out that this organization thinks they're and they might be right. All right.
Well, I think
different coaches, different quarterbacks, different defensive court, different everything. The only two guys who remain the same are Lurie and Howie. I think they believe they'll get back no matter what.
I think the hubris would be that they could find somebody else. I don't think that guy's on the roster.
Well, that's fine. That's fine. Here's Pumper again. Not bashing Jalen Hurts enough this morning. Matter of fact, where are the Jalenites? M. Reyes.
Yeah, where are the Jalenites?
Roll Philly. Where's Trey Lucado? Wow.
All right,
calling out the chat by name.
All right. Well, that's good because I mentioned where are these people? Because all I'm getting is Jalen Hurts hate. And now I got to go the other direction. Like I said yesterday, I feel like I'm crazy here. I mean, the guy's a good quarterback, not a great quarterback. I said that for years leading up to this game. And now I got to go the other direction and point out to all these morons that think he should be benched that he's a good quarterback, not a terrible quarterback.
Well, I'm not saying I disagree with you, but elaborate on what you think he does great.
Wait, I've talked. Really, we're going to go here at 10.
No, it's 10.
Talk about it all the time. He's a very unique player. He does things in a different style. He extends plays. He's off schedule offense. He makes play even in this game. He's got the ability to take away, everybody. I compare it to starting pitchers. I compare it all the time. Sometimes you don't have his best stuff. He didn't have his best stuff last night. He still makes the 3rd and 16 throw. He still makes the throw to AJ. That's rare for a quarterback.
Right.
If you
It's
play
all off
shitty,
schedule, though. We know that it's all off schedule, which is a tough thing to build around. It is.
if you play shitty like Dylan Gabriel, you usually play shitty. You don't pull plays out of your ass to win games. Now he didn't get it done. It would have been interesting. That would have been the narrative and the Jalen Hurts would have been front and center saying, "See, he won the game in the end, but he didn't get it done." So the anti-Jalen Hurts are puffing their chest. And it's like I make the political comparison all the time. It's the extremists, both wings, the wing nuts, as I like to call them. And they're both nuts. He's a good quarterback. He's not a top-tier quarterback. He's not a top. He never was. He's not going to be. But he is a very effective NFL starter over an extended, very, very large sample size that doesn't get evaporated because of one poor performance. And
Pumper
even
again.
3 poor performances, excuse me.
APB out for the Jalen Hurts. Please report to the JAKIB Sports YouTube chat for your daily. All right, Pump. Here's an Irish one. The type of people who want to bench Hurts for Tanner are the same type of people that want Shane Steichen fired. That's how much football they know. A shot at people who want Hurts benched.
Well, they don't know much football. I kind of agree with Irish. If you're legitimately advocating Jalen Hurts to be benched for Tanner McKee, you don't get this industry. I'll say that to be nice.
Well, that's different than not knowing football. Getting the industry is that's 2 different things.
Yeah, it is 2 different things, but part of it is the evaluation of the players. Like, what are you evaluating with Tanner McKee? I mean, part of it is the business part. I understand where you're going, but that's a huge part of it, and a big part of why they're not going to bench him. As is the chemistry and not wanting to create uncertainty in your locker room and all that stuff. But from the pure football standpoint, where's this evaluation of Tanner McKee coming from? Because I'm there every day. I can't evaluate him. Where's this coming from? Meaningless week 18 game where they ran. By the way, you talk about a dumbed down offense. Go watch that game on film. They ran three freaking plays, and then they started repeating them.
All right, let me rattle these off so I can get you out of here. Here's Pump again. Fellas, it's not that he don't run the ball anymore. It's like he doesn't even try. MF is doing high knees like he's doing the tire drill. He's
an awkward slider, which is weird because he's a great athlete. Usually, I think if he slid better.
I think I'm telling you, I think that concussion last year spooked him, man. He does not want to put his head in harm's way. I can't blame him for that. I'm just saying that. I think that might be a factor. Pumper says, I believe Hurts hears the footsteps. Tanner is breathing on his neck, and he can't handle it. Scary hours for the Jalen Hurts, and Tanner Delphia has risen.
Well, Pumper's the lead. He's the president of the Tanner McKee fan club. So where's the evaluation coming from, Pumper? Forget about Jalen Hurts. Where's this coming from?
JD3 says, I'd trade Hurts and 2 firsts for Derek Barnett and Harrison Bryant. That's obviously you're kidding.
They get a first. They'll get a first round pick. You want to trade them? I'll tell you what though. You know how you can't get a first round pick for him if you want to trade him? Bench him.
That's true. The business of it comes in there too. Harris, what's up, brother? Last one here, John. The one interception, the 300-pound lineman. I'm like, how do you not see him? The last one he threw. How do you not see the corner not biting on the underneath route? Go under and take the yards.
How does Jalix Hunt get interceptions? How does Andrew Van Ginkel get interceptions and go the other way? I mean, this happens all over the league. Again, the whole point of the zone, and this goes back to Dom Capers, who gets credit, probably didn't create it, but did it the best. That's the whole goal of a zone blitz. You drop somebody that the quarterback is looking at the line of scrimmage that doesn't expect to drop, and you replace them with a player you don't expect to rush, and all of a sudden you have a defensive tackle. How often is a defensive tackle in coverage? Not often. So sometimes the quarterback doesn't see him. It happens all the time. That's why people run that. The goal is to do exactly what happened, and it worked. And sometimes you got to tip your cap to the other team. Jalen Hurts is hardly the first guy to get fooled by his own blitz. I mean, come on, guys. Happens every week somewhere. Every week.
Pump one more. The Jalen Hurts argument against Tanner is that he's a statue in the pocket. Hello, have you seen Hurts play? Buddy can't move. Mitch McConnell. Oh, man.
Jalen Hurts is closing in on the all-time record for NFL rushing touchdowns for a quarterback pumper. Yeah, come on, dude. Yeah. This guy's been very effective running the football over the years. Come on. What are we talking about here?
All right, John, your final thoughts, man. They lose their third straight game. Obviously, a bad game for the Birds out at SoFi. They're now 8-5. Still, I guess, in the driver. Well, definitely not, I guess. Still in the driver's seat in the NFC East. Your final thoughts here today, John. I do have one more super just came in. I'll read it after your final thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, by the way, so I'm looking it up just real quick. Well, I can't find it, but anyway, I'll look that up for tomorrow. Yeah, still there. Obviously, the Raiders are as gimme as it gets. So I would put off the panic until Sunday. If they lose to the Raiders, I will join you on the panic. I won't care as much, but I will join you on the panic train. But I think they are going to win.
If they lose to the Raiders, though, you're saying it's time.
Oh, yeah, that would be a catastrophe if they lose to the Raiders. I don't even think it'll be a competitive game. So if they do lose that game, it is time to hit the panic button. But they lost by 3 points in overtime to a team that's 9-4. And they turned it over 5 times. It's ugly, everything you want to say about it, but it's not the end of the world. Unless you're talking about number 1 seed and stuff like that, it is the end of the world. But I had already closed that door. I was not assuming that they would be in that conversation unless they ran the table, and I didn't think they were going to run the table. And I said before the game, I wouldn't be surprised if they won by a field goal, lose by a field goal. They lost by a field goal.
John says, so you're telling me with the first team, Tanner wouldn't be better than the bottom-ranked offense or have more room to grow as a passer? What drop-off? I think the idea there is that they're already awful. How much worse can the offense
No, I'm saying, John, you have no idea. Your evaluation of Tanner McKee is based on nothing other than your imagination. That's what I'm saying. Nothing. It's a 6th-round pick. He's throwing 45 passes in the NFL in a non-meaningful environment. Based on a couple preseason games and that. Essentially nothing. Versus a quarterback who's made 4 consecutive trips to the playoffs, 2 Super Bowls, played at the highest level in Super Bowls. I mean, what are we talking about here?
One more, John. I got this last night. He wanted me to read it to you. Jaeger Jack. First super chat in years of watching. J-Mac, you have changed my perspective on the way I view football. But please elaborate on Jalen's elite holisticness. Did you say that? Elite holisticness?
No, I did not. I have used the term holistic, but not holisticness. If I did, I didn't do it on purpose. When you're speaking extemporaneously, sometimes you say things. But no, I don't recall ever saying that. He is, there's a lot of intangibles, which people don't like when Jalen Hurts. There's a lot of intangibles to his game. And if you can't put a number on it, there's a group of people that don't like it. But it's real. That part I've talked about. Again, this is a very, very very large sample size as it goes from an NFL perspective. And few quarterbacks in the history of football have won at the level that he's won over this large sample size. Now, again, I do think there are significant deficiencies, which I've proven out. I've gotten shit on for pointing it out over these years. And now I have to toggle to the other side who are like, all right, throw this guy out in the trash because he's in the slump for a guy who's never played. I mean, again, his two best games, arguably in his career, were in Super Bowls, and I think the one he lost was the better than the one he won. I mean, am I going crazy here? What am I doing? What am I missing?
I don't think you're going crazy. I think you're discounting what people are. I mean, where I disagree with you is that the offense has just the talent on the offense has just gotten worse. I think it's combusting because they do only one thing well, and they don't do it well anymore because defenses have taken it out. They're loading people in the box. I mean, there's like 5 tacklers every time Saquon has a run. And I think the way to open it up is by passing the ball efficiently and consistently.
Yeah, that's not going to work. That's not
going to work with Jalen. I agree with that. I'm not asking Jalen.
Then you have to change your style of offense. And again, that's acceptable. And if you want to go that route, I doubt you're going to be as successful. But you can go that way, but that's in the off season. You're not benching a guy with that resume for Tanner McKee. I mean, if they do that, I'll tell you what. I guarantee you, I could tell you it's not coming from Nick Sirianni. That would be a complete Jeffrey Lurie move.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying you never say anything. I've learned to never say anything's 100%, even though I jokingly called the NFC East. That's part shtick, to be honest, but I do think they're going to win the NFC East. But you never say anything's 100% until it's 100%. If they bench Jalen Hurts for Tanner McKee, that is not coming from the coaching staff. No flipping way.
John, good stuff, man. Appreciate it. A little overtime today. Birds dropped 3 straight. We'll see what happens. John, good show. I'll catch you tomorrow. All right, brother.
All right. See y'all. Thanks.
All right. Thanks, John. There's Johnny Mac. John McMullen joining us right here on Birds 365. Appreciate everybody being here this morning. We'll have a good Zander time. I couldn't have one yesterday. Had to go and get my cracked tooth fixed. I did get it temporarily fixed. They put a temporary crown on that thing. I got to go back next week. Boy, do I hate sitting there. And they got like machine guns in your mouth. It's like, holy shit. I hate the damn dentist. I hate the damn dentist. The worst part is I got to go back soon. I got to go back next week, and then I got to go back again after the season. All right, so brutal. But it is what it is. All right, appreciate everybody for being here. I need some comments from the great people of JAKIB Nation in the chat on what you make of the game last night. What you make of the Eagles right now as a whole, man. I think this team is clearly not good. All right. This team is clearly not good. And, they're 4-5 in the last 9 games since September has ended. So I don't know how you view September games, but, if you view them that they're a liar's month, like Cilio says, or that they're like preseason, like many say, because there's no preseason really in the NFL anymore, and you take those out, they're really a mediocre team this year. They're really a mediocre team. Defense has been solid. I think the defense, did enough for them to win last night. And the offense has been downright bad basically all year. So, the team has a lot of problems, in my opinion. I don't see it the same way John does, but that's why you have multiple people on a panel. You get different opinions, and it's certainly fine to me. Pumper says, Jalen Hurts, serenading savior. I got his magic stick. I know if I can hit it once, I can hit it twice. Oh, geez. Zander, it's getting strange. Pump, it is getting a little strange, but I think a lot of people do. I know a lot of you don't like to hear what John has to say about that, but I do think that is a lot of people think like that. They might be upset with Jalen Hurts, but they're not going to look past what this team has done the last 3 years, whether you like it or not. I'm not saying I agree with it or don't agree with it, but I do think that line of thinking exists as well. All right. Bone says, we're not a bad team. We're a good team that's playing bad. You feel me? Bone, I love you, but no, I don't. Where in 2025 have you seen that we're a good team that's playing bad? Like, if you're going off, all right, if you look at the whole era here, 24, include everything. If you include 24, all right, yeah, good team playing bad. If you don't have 24 and you're looking at 25, I'm sorry, I don't agree with this comment even a little bit, Bonehead. And you know I love you, brother, but I don't think we're a good team playing bad. I really don't. I think right now we're just a slightly less than mediocre team. You know, Keith says we're an unhealthy team. Keith, I can buy that a little bit. I'm gray. If I was blue, I would live, and I'm in need of a wrench if I was blue. All right, Curtis, you're crying up a storm, dude. Fucking Curtis is crying like a sisspot about his damn name. Crying like a sisspot about the name. Holy shit, Curtis. That's the game Zander holds on to. What are you talking about, Dante? I'm not holding on to any game. What game are you talking about? Don't come in here and start taking shots at me because I'll roast your ass, Dante, on 2 hours of sleep. All right? Brian, what's up, Waddington? Aside from the blitzing, the Kobe Dean was hard. Yeah, it's true. I agree, Brian. He was good at blitzing. He does good. He does some things well, but yeah, he hasn't had a good couple of weeks. And you could tell because they took him off the field, Waddington, for a little bit last night. They had Jahad Campbell back out there. All right. Andrew Dirk says, A.J. Brown's playing like he wants to be traded. Yeah, I don't know about that. Jalen is playing like garbage. The only ones on the offense playing is Saquon and Devontae. I think there's a lot of people making business decisions on this team right now. Hurts, A.J. I mean, look. I'm not bailing Hurts out, but A.J. Brown, there were some moments last night that are unacceptable. And to be honest, I don't really care that he took accountability from him in the locker room. I mean, how many times do you hear, oh, it took accountability? If every week you take accountability for something, then every week you got the problem. The problem is the problem. The accountability is another question. You know? I mean, you're going to make a stink. You got to go up there and get that ball, man. You caused an interception. You're going to make a stink. You got to catch the ball when it's dropped in your fucking hands in the end zone. I mean, that's the fact. That's the fact. And I'm an A.J. Brown guy. I like A.J. Brown more than most do. That was bad. You got to catch the ball. You know? You want your quarterback to trust you? I don't give a shit if it was a duck. I really don't give a shit. And quite frankly, I don't really give a shit if the ball was high either. All right? I really don't care. You had two hands on the ball. Catch the fucking ball. Or don't bitch about it. All right? I mean, come on. I'm done with that. I'm not hearing that. I'm fine if you're mad at the offense because I'm mad at it too. But I don't want to hear the bullshit, and then the ball comes your way, and you got butterfingers on 3 different passes. By the way, 3 good passes. Maybe the one that was high was a little high. It was high. But, again, you 2 hands on the ball. I mean, it's the NFL. Not every throw is going to come at you perfect. All right? Not every throw is going to come at you perfect right in the breadbasket with no defenders on you. Here's Kilgore. Kyle, I always look for different opinions, so I'm good with this. He says, then you're alone, Zander. Go watch Acho's breakdown. He agrees AJ not going for that catch was smart. All right. So I guess why, Tyler, is the thought process from Acho that it was a hospital ball? Is that I guess that's the thought process there, that it was a hospital ball? All right, well, how about the first play of the game? How about the one in the end zone, Tyler? All right, good. You don't want him to go for the hospital ball. Fine. What about the one in the end zone, and what about the first play of the game? I mean, to me, that's one play. That's the one play, which is fine. I still think he should have caught it, by the way. It's football. You're going to get hit. Eagle all day. I feel bad for our dude. What do you guys ever look and like, one thing I think about often? Like, what does Vic Fangio actually think? What does Vic Fangio actually think? Guys, the last 5 games, I know they lost 3 straight, but the last 5 games, they had 10 points on the Packers, and they won. They had 16 points on the Lions, and they won. They had 41 straight minutes of no points versus the Cowboys. They put up 21 early, and they lost. They had 15 points versus the Bears, and they lost. And they had 19 points versus the Chargers, and they lost. I mean, if you're Vic Fangio in this defense, you got to be like, bruh, I mean, what do you want? What do I have to do here? What do you have to do? I mean, if you're Vic Fangio, you got to be losing patience with this offense. You have to be. I mean, I don't know how you couldn't be. Curtis says, Xander, what do you think of Vic's honest evaluation of Hurts? Is honestly, Curtis, I have no clue. I mean, I don't want to speak to that because how the hell would I know? If you're asking me to guess what it would be, probably similar to John's. He can beat you in uncanny ways. You could force him into some mistakes, but he typically protects the football. I do feel like it would kind of be more like that. If you're asking me to be honest, that's what I think Vic sees where he's deficient for sure, but I don't know. I can't speak to what Vic Fangio thinks. I have no fucking clue. All right, I have no clue. 4.5 games of holding teams under 23, just nuts. It is crazy. Here's Slagger. The offense is playing like they have to do it to get paid, not like they care about winning. I agree with that. Marcus says, what a load of shit that was. So glad I didn't stay up to 1 in the morning watching that pile of doo-doo. Yeah, I was on the show till 3:30. All right, I was on the show till 3:30. We were going back and forth. Yeah, I'm kind of with Chris here. I mean, 6'2", 220, and you're scared to go up and make a catch in this era of the NFL where everything is legislated against the defense. I mean, I'm sorry. I'm not buying Nacho's analysis there. I mean, fucking catch the ball. I mean, yeah, your Hurts puts it up to you. You want him to go to you in high leverage situations. He puts it on your hands, and you tip it to a defender. You drop one in the end zone, and you drop one on the first play. And by the way, the play at the end, too, on the 4th down where Hurts throws it up, way high in the sky, AJ's reaching out with one arm like this. Wouldn't surprise me if Jalen loses some confidence in him. Can't blame him for that. Andrew Dirk, thanks for becoming a member, brother. I appreciate it, man. I appreciate it. Appreciate all the supers today. All right. Yeah, Wayne, I just pointed that out. I'm not a fan of it, man. I'm not a fan of that. Again, I don't say that to take it away from Jalen. Like, I think it's multiple things, but I definitely don't think AJ deserves a pass. Not a good game for AJ Brown. Not a good game. Good moments, some good moments, but you really, Xander, see, Tyler, this is where you lose your credibility. This is where you lose your credibility. Now I'm sounding like Bob Lang. Oh, really? Is that what you think, Tyler? You think Bob Lang called me and asked me to speak some shit? Is that what you think, Tyler? Really? Or do you just want your narrative to be reaffirmed back to your ears over and over again? Now you sound like a dumbass, Tyler. All you want to do is hear what you think. Say back to me what I think. Just say it back to my ears. That's a dumb way to go about life, Tyler. A dumb way to go about it. Here's Fat Frank Barbecue. I like that name. Fat Frank, you eating up on some barbecue, brother? Enjoy. Jalen is a +1 being asked to be the man. He is there to go get the 3 yards when nothing is open, and he's refusing. He took what made him $50 million and threw it away to prove he sucks. Jeez. Harsh, but I hear you. Jason Z, don't even bother with that dude. You're saying after he stopped watching. Yeah, whatever. Kilgore's got a narrative. That's fine. I mean, he's allowed to have a narrative. All right. That's my business name. LOL. Thank you, Z. Nice, Fat. Everyone go and check out Fat Frank Barbecue. Appreciate you for being here, brother. Catch says, what was the deal with Hurts losing his helmet? Dude is in a fog. That was odd. I don't know. I don't know if I've ever seen that. I don't know if that was just a miscommunication or he put it down somewhere and walked. I don't know. I don't know what that was. Here's now Tyler's mad at me. Tyler, I think I do a pretty good job at bringing other opinions to the show. That's kind of what I try and do. Nowhere have I ever said or believed that my opinion is always right. In fact, I've come off my opinion many times when presented different evidence. You're the one who doesn't want to come off your opinion. Now you're calling me Bob Lang because I said A.J. Brown has to make a catch. I think you're the numbnuts here, Tyler, and you've exposed yourself in multiple comments. Has Jalen Hurts found his helmet yet? I don't know. With a name like that, I'd bet money that's good barbecue. Me too. Here's Waddington. What's up, Waddington? Number one pass defense in the league, and we decided to throw the ball 40 times. Yeah. And John brought that up. Jalen was horrible all night, and Barkley was cooking. I don't know what the F this team is doing. Brian, sometimes it really does defy like common logic. They don't pass the ball well. They're going up against great pass defense. They're actually running the ball well in this game, and then they don't. I mean, he did have 20 carries, so that's a pretty significant number. 20 carries is a pretty good number. 20 carries, buck 20, 6 yards a carry. Good night for Saquon. Good night for Saquon. All right. Curtis, what's up, Curtis? If you believe that a quarterback can elevate the play of the guys around him, you have to also believe he can lower the play of people around him. That's actually a good thought process. Hurts isn't the only problem, but it's a big problem. Curtis, I would agree with that. All right, I would agree with that. 21-40, that's complete dog shit. I would agree with that as well. Look, I don't think anybody's here saying Jalen Hurts had a good night. He didn't have a good night. No doubt. He had a bad night. Kilgore actually believes now I'm Bob Lang. Yeah, okay. Here's Drozone. Toys, I don't know what you're answering to there, so I can't go that route. Langston says, Chris Hurts has a no trade clause. Yeah, he does. Gambling Baby says, we kicked the field goal in the end. Our magic number goes down to 2, and we would have won the NFC East. When are you talking about? You mean play for the tie there? In overtime? You mean play for the tie there? I'm not a fan of playing for the tie. I'm not a fan of playing for the tie. 8-4-1. I guess it sounds a little better than 8-5. I didn't, Tyler, I didn't get mad at you. I said you called me Bob Lang because I said A.J. Brown is to catch the ball. That to me is a dumb take. Jalen Hurts played bad. Nobody is telling you that Jalen Hurts didn't play bad. You're like straw manning the shit out of this. It's ridiculous. A.J. Brown should have caught the ball. You said to me, I don't put it on A.J. at all. I said, that's a dumb take. I didn't get mad at your criticism, and I don't care if you challenge me or think differently. It doesn't make me Bob Lang to say A.J. Brown should have caught the ball. Not sure what you're missing. I don't know if you have a couple screws loose or what. Brian Waddington, A.J. Brown's job description is to catch the fucking ball. Agreed. And Jalen's is to throw the fucking ball. So both of them deserve criticism. Never said they neither. Both of them. Gambling says, I'm not a fan of the tie, but I'm a fan of winning the East. I hear what you're saying. Jimbo says, I'm not paying for a tie, but if we did, we'd be right up there with the Packers. Fair enough. Fair enough. What would he be? 8-4-1, right? Yeah. By the way, what does anybody really think that Jake Elliott would have made the 60-yarder? I don't really think Jake Elliott would have made the 60-yarder. I really don't think Jake Elliott would have made the 60-yarder. Gambling, do you agree or what? I mean, he missed a 48 that night. He's missed 5 in the last 7 weeks. I mean, not a great kicker right now. Not a great kicker. You want to see a great kicker, just look at the dude in LA. That dude is automatic. By the way, he wore Eagles green. If you all remember that when Jake Elliott got hurt. All right. So I don't know. I hear what you're saying, where you want to position yourself to win the East, but I really don't think that Jake would have made the 60-yarder, to be blunt. I just found, where's this? I just got a super. I got a couple supers. Pumper, what's up, brother? Ty, MF for this bum threw a pick on 1st and 10 in the red zone. Like Xander, our fan base are full of peasant dumbasses. That was bad. The decision was really bad there. I mean, 1st and 10, you got everything in front of you. You have a multiple option play that you could hand it to Saquon, could have ran yourself, could have threw it to the flat to Goddard. He pushes the ball in probably the most unprobable area there. Bad decision from Jalen Hurts. No doubt about it. Very bad decision from Jalen Hurts. Here's Celso. What's up, Celso? Could this offense go blow for blow with the Bengals? I like Tanner did with the second team. Let's be honest here. It was also Bengals' first team. It was. I'm not as out. I think Tanner McKee will be better than John thinks. I do. I don't hold the take that Tanner McKee is not going to be a good player. I think Tanner McKee has what it takes to be a good player in the NFL. I've never seen it. I'm projecting. I don't know for sure. Nobody's ever seen it, but consistently, that is. But I think his skill set will work well. I do. I don't know if it'll be in Philly, though. Anthony Rossi with $2. Thank you, brother. If you want to put a comment in the chat, I'll read it. All right? If you want to put a comment in the chat, I'll read it. HKP, what's up, brother? Hope you're doing well. Every time the game had hope, our $61 million quarterback turned the ball over. It's true. He was 51. I got you. Yeah, it was bad. Really bad from Jalen Hurts last night. All right? Really bad from Jalen Hurts last night. Brandon Howard says, if we're not talking about replacing the quarterback, I'm really not trying to hear what we need to improve in another position. Brandon, I feel you on a deep level with that comment. Doesn't mean I'm not going to call it out there. You know what I mean, Brandon? Like, I'm doing a talk show. I got to talk about all the good and the bad here. All right. Hogan, what's up, Hogan? I'm sure you're licking your chops right now. Cup of dunking on me, brother. 3:30 a.m. is late. Keep up the great work. Getting beat by a one-arm handicap QB is pretty rough. I got you, man. Hogan, thank you, bro. Thank you, bro. JD3 says, you would think Hurts is one tripping shrooms over the weekend. Not me. That's funny. Big Mike Zander, the players are human. They've had bad games, and the players have deficiencies. We all have sticks in our eyes. Big Mike, but this isn't one bad game, bro. This isn't one bad game. You know? This offense has been bad really all year. Anthony, thanks for the super chat. Let me read your comment. Thanks, Z. Got you, brother. I think the Eagles really need to move on this offseason from Hurts, AJ, and start rebuilding the O-line. Dude, if they keep losing at this level, I think anything is possible in the offseason. I really do. I do. I don't know what they'll do. What I would do is a lot different than what the Eagles will do or what they'll think to do. At the end of the day, we're all beholden to what they want to do. All right? Here's Tyler again. Just curious, Xander, you and some random in the chat said I was arguing my narrative. Well, no, I thought your narrative about A.J. Brown was bad. I didn't speak about your narrative on what you think of the team as a 25-year sample size. I said your take on A.J. Brown having no accountability because you think the quarterback sucked, which is fine that you think that. But to say that A.J. Brown doesn't deserve any accountability is dumb, in my opinion. That's what I challenged. I didn't challenge your whole narrative on the 25 years of the team. That's not what I said. Tyler, again, you're red herring and you're straw manning the shit out of the argument. Look over here. Embellish over here. That's not what I said. I said your take on A.J. Brown was no good. A.J. Brown has to take accountability too. So does Hurts. It shouldn't be that hard to say multiple people have to take accountability. I really don't understand what you're. Yeah, 3% to me is way low. He dropped the ball with the chance to win the game in the end zone. He dropped the ball over the middle of the field that caused another interception for Jalen Hurts. He lacked effort on the opening play where Hurts put it up and it went through his fingers. If you think as a top receiver in football, that is only 3%, I don't agree with you. That's fine. We can agree to disagree. All good, Tyler. All good. SMD, what's up, SMD? Hope you're doing well. Good to see you in here. I haven't seen you in a little bit. Hey, Big Z, I heard J-Mac say McKee eval was based on imagination. If that's the case, why'd they trade Pickett and keep Tanner? Birds front office imagination? It's a fair point, SMD. I guess there is some business there, where Tanner's on the rookie contract and McKee and Pickett wasn't, coming to the end of his. I don't know. I guess that's a part of it, SMD. My guess would be if you said this to John, that's what he would say. But I do agree with you that I think the front office likes Tanner McKee. I do. I think they like Tanner McKee. Doesn't mean they're going to go to him, but I think they like him. And I do think they like him. All right? I do think they like him. And it's great to see you in here, SMD. Thanks for being a member. 17 months. You don't see her canceling and asking for a wrench. All right? 17 months. Thank you, SMD. I appreciate your chat, and I understand your thought process there. I do. I'm not a huge fan of how John completely says McKee will be trash. I'm not a fan of that. I mean, just like you can say John says fans are basing the McKee evaluation on nothing. Well, he's also basing that he's going to suck on nothing too, right? So it's kind of both of them are faulty, I think the offense sucks and people are looking for a spark or people are looking for a different look to try and identify where the big problems are. I don't think it has to be that McKee's going to be a Hall of Famer or that McKee's going to be a bag of trash. I don't think it's either. But I hear you, SMD. Here's Pump. What's up, Pump? Forget the damn pass quality. Like, brother, why would Jalen check into a go ball? Chargers are literally the best defense against explosive plays. Low IQ. Yeah, I hear you, man. I hear you. That was some bad decision making from Hurts. I'd say this. I think a lot of people are willing to criticize Hurts for some of the throwing abilities and some of those things. I don't think people often will say that Hurts has been really bad in decision making. I think even the people who underdog who's not a Jalen Hurts fan, Pumper who's not a Jalen Hurts. There's a lot of guys in here who aren't, and that's fine. People can like Jalen, people can not like it. I really don't care. I really don't. I'm happy with everybody giving their opinion. That's fine to me. If you love Jalen Hurts, come in here and say it. I'm good with it too. But the decision-making from Hurts was uncharacteristically bad all night last night. I mean, he consistently put the ball in bad situations over and over again. I mean, to the tune of 5 turnovers. Uncharacteristic, but definitely worth criticizing. Bad decision-making all around. Especially against a good defense, Pump, as you point out. I agree. All right, I agree with Pump there. Jeff Bone says, we're going to draft a quarterback round 1 and bench Hurts. I don't think so. I don't think that's happening. I don't see that. D. Hurts says, get rid of Hurts and see how many team wants him. I love Jalen. D. Hurts, look, man, you're allowed to love Jalen. I'm fine with that. I think he's playing bad right now, D. Hurts, and he has to be better. And at some point, D. Hurts, when everything around you breaks down and you're the face of the franchise and you're the starting quarterback and you're making the $51 million, I believe you got to lift the team up. All right? I'm fine with you loving Jalen. He's done a lot for the team. But I think it's fair to want more out of him at this point. I don't know how you feel about that. I'm not saying you don't think he has to play better, but I think it's very fair for people saying, look, this is getting ridiculous. The offense has to be better. Rod in the bench says, what do you think the locker room thinks of Hurts? I don't know, man. I don't know. I have no clue. If you read some reports, if you believe reports, John called him aloof months ago. For all the people who say John never reports anything, John was the first person I heard say that. Now everybody says it. So if you go by that, maybe some people don't like Hurts. I don't know. I think some people do like Hurts, though. I think Saquon Barkley likes Hurts. I think some people do like Hurts' consistency and his at least his consistency on keeping the main thing and wanting to win the football games, But I have no clue what they think of Hurts. I'm sure the skill position players, the receivers understand that he's not a high volume passer. I'm sure they understand that part of it well, but I have no clue, dude. Honestly, your guess is as good as mine. Nikolai says, we have to stop pampering Hurts. There are other players that deserve the attention. Guys like Devontae who got one or two throws his way last night. Hurts forced a number of throws to AJ again. I agree. And people do pamper Hurts. They always will. They always will. I mean, it's just starting quarterback. You're going to have people who hate him and you're going to have people who pamper him. I mean, it's just kind of part of it. But I hear you. Here's Bob Brown. Get some new people in here. Zander, Nick's interview going into the tunnel at the half sums up the season. Nick wants a team to play with joy. They need to play with aggression and urgency. No joy if you lose. Bob, I was on the halftime show, so I didn't even hear it, but I agree. Need more urgency from the team. All right. Here's Roll Philly. What's up, Roll? Z, I see him the only Jalen that came to take his medicine. He's been terrible. Let's see how the season plays out. He's earned that. But if we're going to replace him with who, and don't say McKee. Well, Roll, some people are going to say McKee because he's right there, brother. All right? So I appreciate you coming here, Roll. I mean, I think there's context as always, brother. I think A.J. Brown deserves a lot of blame too. All right? I know you comment. I know you were attacking me. Not attacking me, but you mentioned it to me on Twitter. And I think that's fair too, bro. I do. I think that's fair too. Hurts has been bad. I'm happy to at least hear. At least you're honest, Roll Philly. At least you're honest, At least you're honest. Not everybody can be honest. A lot of people struggle to be honest. I always try and be honest. Doesn't mean I'm always right. I never say I'm always right. That's why I don't know where Tyler came up with that. I fucking say I'm wrong all the time. In fact, I admit I'm wrong quite a bit. That's the nature of talking about sports for a living. You're going to be wrong a bit. All right? Nobody gets it right all the time. I'm grayed out, but I'm getting it fixed. The green Roll Philly will be back. All right, brother. Appreciate you, man. I saw you say your Apple got hacked or something. Hopefully all that's good, bro. All right. Hopefully all that is good. Here's Pump again. Jalen Hurts is putrid and inaccurate. The only thing he hit last night was the Jalen Hurts G-spot. Oh, come on, Pump. But, yeah, he was inaccurate last night. Philly Ty, what's up, brother? Appreciate you, man. It's been a tough week for us, huh? Z, football has not been too fun for me and you. I need at least one of our teams to wake the F up. My hopium is running dry. You and me both, bro. Philly Todd, to be honest with you, you want me to be honest? I have basically zero expectation of Bama in the playoffs. I don't know if they win. I don't even know if they win the first game. I don't even know if they win their first playoff game. Bama's playing who in the first game? Who's Bama playing in the first game? I forget. Oklahoma, right? Yeah, that's trouble. Oklahoma is a gritty team. A good defense, well coached. That's a tough opponent. They already lost to Oklahoma, so maybe that helps them, but I feel worse about Bama maybe right now than I do about the Eagles because I like Bama. I love college football. I love Alabama. I probably like Alabama a little bit more than I like the Eagles. Maybe part of that's because I cover the Eagles now, so it's like I don't know. Sometimes you get numb to it a little bit, which is part of it, but it's what it is. I saw a comment I wanted to hit, which was funny. Where is it? I got to find this comment. Here's JD3. Dank Bird Gang came out of the closet, called Zander a racist, and then went ghost when his boyfriend failed. Jail Night of the Year. JD, where are all those people, man? Calling me a racist for criticizing a quarterback who's not playing well. That's crazy talk, man. That's crazy talk. Call me whatever the fuck you want. I'm going to keep it real no matter what. HKP, I'm at a point where I'm sick of Jalen Hurts, man. HKP, I know, man. I've been talking every week. I can tell you are. All right? I can tell you are. And I get it, man. I get it. This offense sucks. This offense truly sucks. They're really bad. It's a bad freaking offense, man. It's bad all around. Awful all around. So, cheer up, everyone. Only Jalen. I don't want to talk about that, man. I don't want to wish for an injury on anybody. I'm sorry. I'm not going down that road. That's dumb to me. Barkley, Madden curse. I wonder what the stats of how many players been on the Madden cover and had bad seasons. Well, it's a curse for a reason. I'm not a big curse guy, Boulevard. All right. I'm a faith-filled Catholic man. I don't really look at curses and think they're real. I'm not superstitious at all. Like zero level of superstition in me. Zero. I don't view anything as superstitious. I don't know. Not really. I just don't think he's playing well. I don't think the offensive line's playing well. I don't think he's playing well. He had a good night last night, but I don't know. A-Team says, man, I don't know. Dank has been going on that shit lately, but he calls you that. I find that wild. Yeah, Jason, just ridiculous, bro. But whatever, it is what it is. I don't really care. Again, Jason, people will attack the person when they don't like what the person is saying. And furthermore, this, ready? People won't attack somebody who people don't listen to. So, and I'm not even saying that to toot my own horn, but it's clear that people listen to JAKIB Sports. And it's not that they don't like me. It's that they don't like that what I'm saying, and they don't like that there's people who listen to it and converse with it. That's what they don't like. That's when they start attacking. And you get that a lot. A lot of people have been attacking me. Again, I know who I am. I know what kind of man I am. I know who I am in my heart. I don't have to prove that to anybody. All right? I don't have to prove that to anybody. So it is what it is. Call me whatever you want. I don't really give a fuck. Everybody loves putting labels on everybody now. Roll Philly says, Z, did you see AJ have Jalen's back a lot in the postgame? I might be a lunatic right now, but are we about to go on a run? Roll, I mean, I hear you, bro, but look, and I did hear it, and I was happy to hear AJ do it. It's the field for me, bro. Like, I you know what, dude? Roll Philly. This goes for Jalen. This goes for AJ. This goes for Nick. This goes for everybody. This goes for Saquon. It goes for everybody that speaks. Roll, right now, I don't give a fuck what you say. Any of them. Not you. Them. I don't care what anybody says. Remember we heard Saquon this week. Oh, we're excited about the game plan. Nick's more involved in the offense. I'm done listening to what they say. Listening to what they say, man, doesn't mean shit to me right now. And I'm not even attacking your take. I'm happy that AJ stuck up for Jalen. He should be doing that. He should have done that when they were struggling earlier too, by the way. Shouldn't just pick and choose his moments when he has 3 drops. So I'll call him out for that too. You don't get to pick and choose your moments when you have 3 drops and now you want to speak, let me defend Jalen. That to me is not cool. Either stand with him or don't. But I'm done listening to what they say, man. I don't care what they say. Show me on the field. Show me on the field. Show me on the field. That's it. That's all I care about. You see, those yeah, it's tough, man. This offense is bad, but Ro, I know you said it already, but the quarterback is really not playing good, dude. Like, he is playing really fucking bad. Like, really bad, dude. Like, bad decisions, not seeing the field well, inaccurate. Just not. He's really playing bad football. I mean, there was a couple plays last night where I'm like, holy shit, what the fuck is Hurts doing? I mean, even plays that didn't result in an interception. I mean, anybody see the one play? He's behind the line of scrimmage. He's standing there. He's waiting. Finally gets hit and he like throws the ball into the dirt. I'm like, what the fuck is Jalen Hurts doing? That was probably the worst game I've ever seen Hurts play last night as a pro. I think that would be the worst game I've ever seen Hurts play as a pro. That was really bad. Keith says, I'm an equal opportunity employer. I hate everyone. Keith, you and me both. I'll shit on everyone. I don't give a shit what you look like. I really don't. All right. That's funny. Dro, what's up, bro? Xander, yeah, his decision-making was suboptimal last night, which is one of the reasons I don't like that final play call. Dude, Dro, no. Dro, please. Shut up with that, Dro. You don't like the play call? Come on, man. It was a fucking option play. He had like 4 options on the play. He made the worst decision possible. Joe, so you want him to take the ball? All right. You might as well put a dummy in that quarterback. What the fuck? Joe, now you don't want to give any decision to the $51 million quarterback? Bullshit. Bull fucking shit. You cannot criticize the play call there. The decision making was bad. Period. End of sentence. Period. End of sentence. It's not the bad play call because the quarterback wasn't making good decisions. That's a criticism of the quarterback, not the play caller. Come on, Dro. And you know I love you, but come on, brother. Let's call a fastball here. Let's call a strike, I guess I should say. Here's Pump. The Mafia got to him. Jalen Phillips is definitely point shaving. Report him to the authorities immediately. That's pretty funny. I was storming Norman with the question of the day. What's your hypothesis, Zander? I might have to think about that for a little bit, Stormin. All right. Ro, I agree with this. I think there's the worst stretch of ball Hurts has played. Agreed. Only criticism with the last play is that AJ and Devontae aren't even in the play. They didn't run routes. Dude, same thing with the earlier in the game, Ro, Philly. I agree, by the way. You got fucking your 2 great playmakers. You know, I always say players over plays, and I agree because I listen to Nick Saban tell that story all the freaking time. It's not about the play caller. It's about you got great players. What you do is you get your great players the ball. That's play calling. They didn't do that. I mean, how about the third down screen pass earlier? I mean, everybody's mad at A.J. Brown for not blocking. Why the fuck do we have a $30 million wideout blocking on 3rd and long? I don't want A.J. Brown to be a blocker. I want him to fucking get open and get the ball. So that part I agree with. That part I agree with completely. I mean, what the fuck are we doing here? You got the game on the line, and you don't have A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith trying to get open and get the ball? I mean, what are we doing here? That's peewee shit. That is legitimately peewee shit. High schools run on the field and they say, "Who's our best player? Let's get him the ball in a clutch in a pressure situation." What the fuck are we doing? Agreed with this, Rays, too. I've been ripping them all show. I don't know if you just checked in. $100 million wideout, dropping 3 passes, including a game winner. Agreed. Brutal game from A.J. Brown. Zero excuse. And I'm not buying the sob song at the locker either. Now you're sticking up for Jalen? After he has 5 turnovers and you have 3 drops? Not a fan of that either. Not a fan of that either. Oh, man, this team is stressful, aren't they? Motorscape Gary says, A.J. Brown, Venture Capitalist Solutions. We make the business decisions so you don't have to. Yeah, I'm not a fan of the business decisions, man. Especially when you put the pressure on the quarterback earlier in the year. Not a fan of it. No more fucking business decisions. You lost that right. Done. None of that bullshit. And believe me, I got no problem criticizing Jalen Hurts. None of that bullshit on A.J. Brown. Come on, bro. Fucking now you want business decisions? You're getting the ball over the middle of the field in pressure situations. Now you want business decisions? Fuck that. Fuck that. 2 big drops? I mean, can't blame Jalen Hurts for those throws. Plenty to blame on Jalen Hurts yesterday. Can't blame him for the 2 throws that A.J. Brown dropped. The one in the end zone? I mean, that was the best throw Hurts has made in multiple weeks. I mean, that was a fucking dime. That was a dime. That was a great throw. That was a great throw. Let him out in front of him, away from the defender, in the breadbasket. That was a perfect throw. I get it. He had the turnovers. I get it. But you had a chance to win the game, and the ball was in A.J. Brown's hands, and he dropped the football. Catch the fucking ball, man. Catch the ball. I get it. You're not going to be perfect. I get it. You're not going to be perfect, A.J. Brown. But, you know, when you bitch and you bring the pressure and you say a bunch of things got to change, and then the ball's in your hands and you don't catch it, come on, man. I can't defend that. I'm not going to defend something that doesn't deserve defending. Yeah, you know, Curtis, good point. Zay, it was a great throw, but Jalen's best throw was throw to his spot before Smith. Dude, that was the 3rd and 16 after the penalty. That was a hell of a throw, too. That was a really fucking good throw. 3rd and 16, I thought that game might have been over. That was overtime, I believe, Curtis. That was a dime. Devontae Smith cutting across the middle, layered it into coverage, right between the defenders. That was a really good throw. Really good throw. Probably 2 best throws of the night were that and the A.J. Brown throw that he dropped. A.J.'s fault, not Hurts. Didn't say that, Nad. Hurts is problem number 1 here. I mean, you turned the ball over 5 times, Nad. You turned the ball over 5 times. But Nad, what you don't do is you don't give A.J. a pass either. Because that's just not, that doesn't make sense. Nad, that doesn't make sense. All right. Brian Waddington, what's up, bro? In all honesty, Xander, even with 5 turnovers, we were right there to win the game. What is your takeaway from that? Does it bring hope or just more frustration? It doesn't bring hope, Brian. Because if you watch that Chargers team, dude, that team couldn't move the ball for shit, dude. They couldn't move the ball for shit. Our defense crushed that team. Our defense crushed that team to the point where 5 turnovers wasn't enough to put the Eagles out of their misery, and the offense still couldn't take advantage of it. I think it brings more frustration than hope. Because you're not going to get a broken-handed quarterback every week. I mean, Herbert was terrible in that game when it comes to throwing the ball. He was good running the ball and stuff, but he couldn't do much. I mean, he was clearly uncomfortable all night. Their offensive line is fucking bad, too. Holy shit, our defense destroyed them. So, I think more frustration to answer your question, Waddington. I don't know what your thought is. If you want to, he said, I agree. Yeah, that's how I feel about it. But those 2 throws might be the best of the year, and in the same game as all those turnovers. Yeah, he had some. They were good throws, man. But stop saying the offense. It was Hurts, Xander. Barbara, I don't know what you want me to placate to you. I've been ripping Hurts all show. I don't spare anybody. All right. Roll Philly Z. If we beat the Raiders, will we even be able to take anything from the W? I mean, the Raiders suck. Honestly, Roll, next week is a lose-lose. Because to your point, if they beat the Raiders, everyone's going to say, all right, congrats, we beat the fucking Raiders. Who gives a shit? If they lose to the Raiders, oh, man. Oh, man. Oh, man. I don't know. There's that clip floating around of somebody saying every time Jalen steps on the field, he makes history. He did live up to that last night. 2 turnovers in 1 play. All right? 2 turnovers in 1 play, baby. History. At least we made history in the loss. All right? All right, Barb, all good. You just got here. You missed a lot. Yeah, don't worry, Barb. I rip everybody. I ripped Jalen. I ripped AJ. I ripped the decision-making on the coaching staff. I ripped it all. All right? Nobody's safe. All right? Contrary to popular belief, I don't have preconceived narratives. All right? My mind changes as new information enters. See, look, this is where Tyler, you've had a bad day, man. You actually expecting wins still, Xander? You and John trying to instill false hope into the Eagles Nation. So now, if you think the Eagles are going to win a football game versus the Raiders, you're instilling false hope. Do you not even see the fallacies that you're going into? Tyler? I don't even think you see it. That's fine. If you don't see it, then I can't help you. Major fallacies there, though. Impressive, Hurts. Congratulations. All right, Catlin. I know you're a Hurts hater. Shouldn't have thrown the damn ball in the red zone. Kevin, I agree. My lot has been pretty bad this year, to be honest with you. He was holding on the running touchdown too, the 50 or 50, but whatever it was, 60 yards or whatever it was. But that's such a bitch ass thing to say. Go cry in the corner. Yeah, Tyler. I don't know what. Tyler's normally okay. I think he's having a bad day. All right. Well, I admit when I'm wrong when I lose. What do you mean? I haven't even picked a game. What the fuck are you talking about, Tyler? And if they do lose and I pick wrong, yeah, I'll admit it. I picked the Eagles to win last night. I was wrong. Congrats. You want a cookie? I'm gonna go pick you up a soft pretzel? What do you? You know what? I think you're a Canadian. I think that makes a lot of sense. You're a Canadian, aren't you, Tyler? Yeah, it makes more sense now. HKP, with all due respect, the only person that deserves blame for that shit show last night was our quarterback. 5 turnovers, that is the definition of ass. I agree. I don't think you can give A.J. Brown a cop-out, but you're right. When it comes to problems with why you lost the game or blame for why you lost the game, it's 5 turnovers. All right. So. All right, man. Love all you guys. I appreciate each and every one of you. Even you, Tyler. I appreciate you going back and forth with me. I think you were off the mark today, but that's all right. I appreciate you. I appreciate you being here as always. Nat, appreciate you, brother. Barbara, Flexing and Step, Waddington, Twiz, Underdogs in here, HKP, James Jones. What's up, brother? Marcus J, Verlaine, JD3, CZ. What up, CZ? Slagger. What's up, Slagger? Sorry if I didn't get to everybody's comments. I try and get to as many as I can, but there's a lot to come in, man, so I can only get to what I see. I try and click on the ones that are against what I say because I think it creates better conversation. But I do appreciate each and every one of you, man. Danny, appreciate you. Jerry, appreciate you, Jerry. KCA, appreciate all you guys, man. Appreciate it very much. Hit the like button on the way out. All right. Love all you guys. See you next time, everybody.
You've been listening to Birds 365, the destination for the passionate Eagles football fan who bleeds green. If it's Eagles football, we're talking about it. Debate inside the locker room and guests that are some of the greatest football minds from around the region. We hope you enjoyed the show. We know we had a blast. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll be back soon. But in the meantime, hook up with us on social media at JAKIB Sports. See you next time on Birds 365.